thing. I brought up this premise, and it's like after I destroyed, because it was 2 prompts. I wanted to do 2 prompts because Fatty, he's like the guy that wants to sell snake oil, but it's like, what kind of fake do you want? He's willing to grift and do. We all know who this is, but so
that was a good intro though, Martha. You have to admit the intro was good with the little soundtrack and like it was kind of like a bisexual Kevin Samuels kind of like look to him. Not gonna lie, but
that thing, the Tyler Perry gay intro.
Yeah, like he was playing like some soul music, some jazz, smooth jazz in the background,
kind of like black culture doing an A and B sections from some church, and I was like, this old man really wants to get destroyed doing this. He's trying to romance Fatty, talking about cake and ingredients and everything. I'm like, man, come on. This is crazy. I told Fatty in the debate, I said, cover up your drink because he might put something in your drink. It was bad. So, but here's the thing though, after I destroyed this old man because I had to debate the prompt saying that black people can be racist, because there's a lot of blacks out there saying we can't be racist. So I wanted to destroy this, which I did. They ran a poll and I won that poll. Then they ran another poll. I didn't see how the results were for the, white should pay blacks reparations. I imagine even if they think I was right, they're going to vote against that anyways. Go figure. But here's the example I gave. After I destroyed him, I had a panel of 7 people. And it's like, I had Fatty and Ilkan Ali debating me. And I was like, I don't care. I'll battle both of you guys. I don't care. You know me, I like running towards the gunfire. So I asked this guy this question. His name is Beans, because he said, no, we're allotted $150,000 per person. We send money off to Israel. We send money off to Ukraine. Things like this happen. Why can't we just distribute money? I said, there's one problem with this. If I have 5% of black in me because somebody downstream was owned as a slave, how much should I get? Because you're giving me a solid number. The problem with this is you have an origin. You know what this origin number is, but at the outcome, you don't have a solution for this. That's their first screw up. Their second screw up was like, they don't have a metric to which to use. And I gave it a performative example. If I'm selling cars and one car is half Mercedes, half Hondas, but I'm selling them all for Mercedes prices, even though there's real Mercedes out there, do you think that that's fair to everybody else to get 150 for this? No, it's not. It's not consistent. So they had inconsistencies the whole time. I'm like, if you can't even justify why you should get reparations and why we shouldn't pay back the whites of the towns and cities you burned down because of BLM riots, everything else, all the government programs that we give into black communities that were actually disenfranchising whites, which I proved during my debate. It's like, this whole tangent I went on about how blacks are actually costing money. Planned Parenthood is doing these ABs with babies. You're not paying for this. A lot of black women they're leading the charge for this. There's a H cost that's happening. Like the guy with the mustache from Germany, they're doing this to black babies and they're doing this for free. I'm like, that's also money you're deducting from this. So it's like they couldn't justify.
Because a key point to this, like I said, I wouldn't even kind of like grant the argument. I'd say even in terms of the core premise, I'd reject it in terms of you don't blame the son for the sins of the father. But even if you were to grant it, and we see this in video games all the time, it's like if we're to like reset one of these like interactive worlds with the economy, we're to reset that economy, all the good players are still going to accumulate all the same wealth that they did. You know what I mean? So it's like this whole thing. If we just give everybody X amount, it doesn't work. But one sec, Marte, we got a guest in the back. Welcome in. I think it's going to get a bit spicy here, folks. So buckle up.
We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr.?
Mr. Joe Cool, welcome to the show.
What's good, gents? What's good,
it's not going to get spicy. Stop the cab. This is Joe.
This is perfect timing, man. Shit, I love this shit. You guys are giving arguments. I don't know who you've been arguing with, but these guys have bad arguments. You're explaining their arguments. They're bad arguments.
Let's go, baby.
Like the one I just heard was the sins of the father, as if these things have passed. They still continue. They've always been. They continue now. And how much blood percentage? That wouldn't be a wise way to go. It's more like shit. All the black motherfuckers at this point have been hurt and held down by not just slavery, but the nonsense they kept up after slavery.
Can you demonstrate a metric to how much anybody should be deserved of reparations? Do you have a metric or a tool you'll use?
No, I hadn't thought about it that much. How
That's
much
where they
a
kept. That's
person.
where they all
If,
got
wait,
destroyed.
wait. Let me finish.
Yeah.
The answer. If the question is how much money should they get, I don't even believe they should get money. But good.
Okay.
Right,
Fair
you
enough.
give money every black motherfucker. Now I get money, I jag it off on a Cadillac. My kid comes up. We've solved nothing.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
and the other thing you said, the cream, you separate everybody, and the cream will rise to the top. I think you're mistaken. I think you underestimate what generational wealth is. I think you underestimate the head start that white people have. It is not
There's
like
problems with that theory, actually.
it's not a.
But
Well,
I'll let
once,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
like, if I just may interject real quick, because like I said, I can let you go back and forth. But in terms of, like, this Head Start, Joe, like, we can go back to ancient Greece and compare the conversations that these are having. You know what I mean?
And it would have been
Like,
relevant at that time if it was going on. If it's occurring now, it's relevant at this time. You're
It's
right.
it's still ongoing in Africa today.
Yeah,
It's
what Terry
relevant
X
there
referring
as
to
well,
is it's going to
then.
be a never-ending, a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Wait. Your
Mm.
point is that since it's continuous and since it's happening in other places, we shouldn't fix it. This
No,
is
what
your
I'm saying
argument?
is
No.
this whole aspect to it's like to quote unquote fix it. I don't understand what you're saying. Like after like outlawing slavery, like this whole thing of like we still need a helping hand to get up. Like I said, like we can go back to ancient Greeks and show the conversations and how like they're like talking about medicine, all this kind of shit, compared to like any other culture around them at that stage. But it's not that they had some sort of advantage. It's because they just had the intellect.
Well, Terry, but here's the thing that I posited. This is the question I posited. I asked them, or actually I asked OG, and then I asked the panel, which they couldn't answer this. I said, can you name one portion of society where black people are ostracized or barred from entering, where it's unfair between whites and blacks? They couldn't name one.
Bars.
Okay, there's the same thing for blacks.
I'm saying it's
Yeah.
black motherfuckers. I, as a black motherfucker, when I go to white bars, I have a problem getting drinks and shit like that.
Blacks,
Yeah, but,
whites have the same
Joe,
problem with black bars. It's
If
the
I
same
go,
thing.
yeah,
yes.
once real quick, if
Yeah.
I go up to Northern Ireland, right,
Yeah,
and I go into a Protestant pub, they will not serve me. They'll say not today, pal, just by my accent.
Yeah,
So like, there's divides in terms of religion. There's all this kind of shit. Do you know what I mean?
I misunderstand his question. I thought he was saying it was not going on at all.
No, I'm saying if you can name a place where blacks are kept from in society, not like they couldn't join it, like, because if you were to say the police force is racist, well, we have blacks on the force, we have black police captains, so it's like, can you name a right that blacks don't have that whites do? It's all along the same diatribe. It's like, so it's like we can't even reconcile how this is even continuing, because what you said before is you said, well, they're still suffering. Well, how? So it's like, what can you point to in society?
It's amazing that you can't come up with about 800 on your own. It's amazing.
I'm still waiting as you're saying this.
I'm going to give you some. You could be patient. Be a little more patient. Yeah, you're waiting.
No, I'm actually patient. I'm asking.
You said the police. Do you think the police and do you? Oh, I don't want to straight. Do you think the police is treats the white cop and the black cop the same? Or
no, I'm not talking about treatment. I'm talking about joining. Like, as far as like, are blacks barred from entering the police force? Can they not participate? So it's like, if you're saying police treat people badly, well, we have black cops. So it's like,
wait. So your argument is that racism can't exist because the law says blacks and whites both can get the job. I thought you were trying to explain to me why racism can't exist with your black people are allowed to be hired there.
No, you're making an assertion that I've never made. What I'm saying now, though, is that since I'm looking for the effects of this, meaning like if you see an effect, it's like, I'll tell you one thing. So if we have an effect of like people that were overeating, people dying from diabetes, let's say America got to such a fat state to where now we have a fitness program, but people are still being affected through the diabetes era and fat overweight era. And it's like, you could still see segments of fat people because they're preventing people from dieting, you know, or because there's people that are fat and they're excluding fat and fit people from jobs. If you see the exclusion, like I could see that. That's what I'm looking for, an exclusion demographic.
Yeah, I know you're looking for something very specific, as if it'll save your argument somehow. I can't tell you that there is a place that is allowed under law to hire a black motherfucker or a white motherfucker, not a black motherfucker. So I wouldn't put forth that argument that you're arguing against someone who's not here. I can tell you that a study will tell you that if you give a company a bunch of names, black names, white names, they will choose the white names first. And I can tell you, if you put them under pressure, they will hire the white motherfuckers at an extremely higher rate. The odds become even bigger.
Do you understand why that is, though? There's a certain rationale for why that is. So if I was to hire somebody and there's a Shaniqua and a Daquan, but then there's a Stephen Smith and a James Avery that I was going to hire, I would actually naturally assume, because culturally, I think it's a cultural bias, not a racial bias, that the Shaniqua would probably be less educated. Right. Teriak, am I right about this? It's more cultural.
Yeah, like people like what's familiar them. So like if we were to go to Nigeria, if Nigeria all of a sudden became a superpower and all this kind of shit, and I was to go to Nigeria with my goofy ass white name, it's going to be the same treatment. And I'm just going to be like, okay, that's just the thing that I have to play around.
That there will be a multitude of factors. The fact that you would exclude race and say it must be the other thing, it sounds crazy. Let's give something more direct and hard.
No, what I'm one second. Let me clarify, Joe. Let me clarify. What I'm saying is racism does exist on an individual base, all this kind of shit, encounters, all this kind of shit. What I'm saying is it's not systematic.
Well, that would be
like capitalism isn't inherently racist.
It's not systematic. You're right, because that's why I asked if blacks were barred from entering certain forces like police or anything like that. That eliminates a systematic argument, so you can't even really use that anymore. It doesn't have the strength.
I'm not using that again. You're arguing arguments that no one has given. I will give you, if you're saying the laws I thought I gave you that exist equally for the people, I won't argue that.
No, not the laws.
It's still racist as fuck.
Well, hold on. You're saying the system's racist. What makes the system? People. What makes the government? People. If you have no people, you have no system, no government. So it goes back to the
people are racist. Yes.
Hold on. It goes back to the people who are barring a certain subsect of individuals from entering. Like I gave my example of the fat epidemic. Are fit and fat people being segregated? No, we don't see examples of that now, which people are a system and a government is a system and a system is a government. They're one in interchangeable. Like if we talk about the church, what's the church? The church is people, not necessarily a building, right? So that's what I'm referring to.
I'm not sure if we ever talk about the same thing. I'm not arguing that. I think you keep going back to, I don't know, that the system, because the laws, you understand, listen, here's the way I see the system. And maybe this will get us closer to understanding what each other are talking about.
You people disgust me.
Shout out to BB Triple B for the $5. We play meme clips here. Apologies, Joe, but go ahead.
No. I wasn't even looking at the screen. I was still talking. The system says, black folks, white folks, everybody's treated the same. But let's take someone like the state of Connecticut. Wow, mostly white motherfuckers. Well, I don't know. That might be arguable. But such a high rate by the state troopers, the much higher rate of tickets goes to black people. What is that? You guys tell me.
So here's the thing. If you look at demographics, if you look at black cities who are black populated, there's higher crime rates. Why is that? Well, it's literally the same argument.
Question. I gave tickets because
I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question. So I'll try not to ask a question by answering this. So if you think about this, the reason why I asked the question is because I was going to actually answer this. The reason why is because you're going to have certain behavior and certain demographics higher on scale than others. So if you look at Asian cultures, the reason why Asians are barred from universities sometimes
traffic, and I asked why was it with
tickets? This is analogous. Can I finish this? I let you finish
my question, then went into all of this stuff. Yeah,
I can't answer this with a hypothetical.
You're going a long way, bro.
You're doing a lot of language control here and a lot of.
I feel like you're being discourteous, but go ahead.
Speaking of language.
Per favore, perché rischiamo veramente di diventare il campo profughi d'Europa. Rischiamo veramente di essere lo zimbello del mondo. Ci stanno ridendo in faccia in tutto il mondo. Vi prego.
I love the passion, gentlemen. I love the passion.
You're getting
I was trying to use a logical entailment to show you this through examples. So here's the thing, though. I'm pointing out to certain races, which we could say people are racially pointed out to as a demographic of why they score higher in tickets, on grades, why they're ejected from certain establishments. The reason why you don't like this is because it's going to literally just demolish your whole question by answering it, because answers destroy questions that we have sometimes. I know you're afraid. So the point I'm going to, if you let me walk you through this just for a bit, I'll answer your question. If you look at Eastern, I would say Western universities where Asians were declined from going to certain schools because they're scoring everybody out the box. Teriak, you probably heard of this, right?
Yeah, the average Asian man earns more than the average white man in America.
Right. So here's the thing. It's the same question. Why are blacks getting more tickets? Why are Asian men scoring higher on tests? When you look at
Asian women too, Asian women earn more than the white man in America.
Right. But Teriak, you see where I'm going? So if you look at certain cultural demographics, they're going to be higher in affinity for certain proclivities than others. Blacks happen to be higher on the crime scale in AB scale from deleting children. Asians happen to be higher on the scale of pay, education, things like this. Indian people happen to be higher on the scale of working little convenience stores and things like this. That's where you have stereotypes develop, because a lot of stereotypes come from truths because of patterns that we have culturally.
One sec, Joe, because a comment did come in, and it's a very interesting dilemma. It's like, is it racism or self-protection against criminality when people talk and look like they come from a gang as a law-abiding citizen wouldn't it be natural to avoid it? Like, that's the question. But in terms of the essence, Joe, like what I'm saying is like, for example, let's say if we say
you're moving on, he ain't answered my question yet.
That's the answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I asked him why.
That's why.
It? Now you didn't go on long enough. You're gonna interrupt me. You didn't go on long enough.
That's emotion.
It is. Just be
he's
civil.
passionate. Joe is passionate. You know what I mean?
Be civil and fair.
I'm pretty fair.
Okay. My question was, why do black people get more tickets? From that, all that you said there, which was a lot, I think you're saying that they're worse drivers. I'm not sure I understand why black people get more. It's a cultural thing. We're worse drivers.
Yes.
It's bias.
Oh my God. All right, go
like
ahead.
To extend the olive branch, Joe, like what you're pointing to is like there's clear bias here.
We're just discussing logic trains. I love it.
But what I'm saying
is, I appreciate motherfuckers who argue back.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, I love the back and forth. Like in terms of like what I'm saying is like to answer your question, what like if we agree that okay, logic is something that we should pursue, right? Yeah. And we should like like have that as a priority. If we like develop a system, let's say, like, but the end result, whatever system we want, capitalism, socialism, whatever system we want, but the end result is that is like the majority of the white people who are benefiting are all white.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we can point and say scream racism or whatever, but it's like this is a decentralized system.
That's not a horrible
you know
thing. I mean? It could be anything. The reason why a certain so and so is doing more, like his Asian example, it's because they're how they're structured as fucking kids over there, man. It's nothing but schooling. That is in their DNA.
Yeah, but can I give you a counter example, Joe? Like, for example, like in the same scenario where it's like we just have we have an objective system at play. We're just gonna let things play out, and whatever the end result is, whatever it'll be, will be, all that kind of shit. Kisara. We see that in like, for example, like the NBA or the NFL, where it's like 90% of the players are black, bro. Yes. You know what I mean? And it ain't because, do you know what I mean, there's some like, a guy pulling the strings or whatever. It's because they're simply the best players.
That may be some racist shit too. That may be.
Those are what we're talking about is proclivities. He's talking about genetics, but I'm also talking about we have cultural proclivities as well too.
Yes, yeah.
And this is why we say
if genetically true because black motherfuckers been in the fields and had a harder life lately.
But to give it again, like Joe, like there could be racist owners, all this kind of shit, but like that's what I'm saying. It's like if you want to be openly like racist and not have only a white team, and let's say in the NFL, it's like your team's not going to do well. So in terms of like the battle of ideas, like it's an objective system. It comes down to your physicality and the intellect in terms of like
I would agree with the NFL. That's why I chose tickets in particular, because I thought no one would make the absurd argument that black people drove worse. I thought no one would say it. I don't have a rebuttal. I thought I'd never hear it. Never heard it before. I've heard it for women, Asians. I've never heard it for black people, period.
It's original.
Worst drivers. It's original, at least. You got even points.
Yes, it's original.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a silver linings kind of guy.
So here's the thing, though. If you, I mean, not to sound extra racist and extra harsh towards our own people, Joe, but if you look at the IQ, I challenged you to look at the IQ from across the board as far as black people as a people, not even as a culture. It tends to be really low, to be honest.
Yes.
I mean, Teriak, am I lying about this?
No, you don't need to Teriak
Right.
back you up. I know I looked them up. I think a point, I could be wrong off with this. I think it was a 3-point was a difference. But it's logical. Most black motherfuckers get that inner city public, not even most, but yeah, probably most, certainly enough to bring down any fucking curve. The inner city where I grew up, here was my high school. Because I see other high schools now that I didn't fucking got around. For science, I don't know what experience I see to sit on TV, Bunsen burners and all of that. We didn't have that for science. We had, the first day we got there, we licked the litmus paper and they told us it was pH. This is high school. Never did another experiment, never touched another anything. Wood shop, never touched the motherfucking tools and shit, never. Music class, the whole year, you had one plastic flute, and the rest was talking. The education that we got, of course, is gonna fucking show in IQ.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Joe, like to that, it's like this whole like false sense of empathy, where it's like we need the government to provide education for these people rather than them being able to recognize that.
Would not be my argument.
Right? Yeah, but what I'm saying is like in terms of like the like what I think is that we need to put like objective, like decentralized systems in place. So it's like in terms of like I think private schooling, it's like if we can make private schooling more affordable, which is what Jordan Peterson's trying to do with his university, all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
What is his name? I think it was Gaddafi. They had 80% illiteracy rate. He closed down the schools for 6 months, made their parents teach them, and it dropped down to like 30% or something, 26%. Just changing the way they were schooled.
Do you know what I mean? But like that's why sometimes you need a wacky situation. Why it's like that's why I think like Trump is useful in that aspect. I don't agree with everything he does, but
did you hear Trump is useful? Because you might have a great argument in wacky situations. You're right, and that's the reason I love Trump. Some of the shit, and I'm not left or right, so I don't mind giving him credit for those wacky fucking ideas that do work. If that was what you were saying, you need a Trump for shit like that. There's truth in that.
You know what I mean? You need it's like the drunken boxer kind of thing, but you also, like I said, want stability from like a nation as well. But these are crazy times, they say.
Yeah. It's that the situation gets so crazy that the only thing that can solve it is like an equally crazy opposing thing, like the solution is, you know.
I think he's right.
That's why in this country now, you're starting to see people saying, I don't care if you think I'm racist or far right or any of this, for saying deport the illegal immigrants. Yeah, that's what you're saying. So, Joe Cole, I have a question for you. What do you think about Jasmine
real quick,
Crockett?
Laugh before you ask the question. I got a guest back. Well, we are supposed to be the host, but he's finally here, folks.
We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you
Mr.
Hey.
Damon
That one you killed somewhere. I saw you recently. Oh, that intro to that debate. Oh my God, you killed it. I thought that was so great.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Thanks.
Well done.
It's been a while, man, since we spoke. I think last time was on Jake's channel.
Okay, I remember that. That was fun.
I think it was after the based Oracle thing.
Yes, it was great. And it kept going after I left. We got to eat it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That shit got crazy, especially when Easy jumped in.
Yes, I forgot Easy off that. It was great.
How you guys doing?
Who say again?
I said, how you guys doing?
Not too bad.
I was hoping and you heard some of this. We had just got to Trump, and you need a outside the box idea to shake something up. That's my problem with Democrats. It would have been the same shit for 4 years. It would not have been entertaining. You criticize Trump all you want. I do it all the time, but you would have got status quo with a Democrat, period. You do need some crazy shit. Trump's throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's where we was at.
The beautiful thing is that the Democrats basically created him.
Yep.
You never would have had Trump if they didn't go so fucking crazy.
Yeah, there would have never been a necessity or a need for that.
What the fuck they're doing? Do you understand that?
He's our boy. But
The beautiful thing is that all of the greatest assets that they're trying to get now, they rejected. They could have had Joe Rogan, but they got too crazy
Joe
for him.
Rogan, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he was a Bernie bro.
yeah.
He was like full on. Yeah, let's make socialism happen, and we were like, fuck.
And
he somehow managed to fumble
had Trump. They could have had Trump too, right? They could have had Trump too, but they didn't want to go for that look. They rejected the idea of excess back in the 80s when the 80s was all about fucking excess. Yeah. Do you remember that interview when he was on Oprah and he jokingly said, like, people tried to say, hey, Republicans, look, he's duping you. He even said, I would run as a Republican because they're stupid enough to vote for me. It's like, no. He didn't say that to insult Republicans. He said it to bait the Democrats. Because he's trying to say, like, I know you guys won't give me the opportunity, but you should. Yeah. And they didn't reach out to him. So then he's like, well, fuck you then.
He never ran as a Democrat. I remember he was calling himself one. He never ran for anything. No, all he did was run for president 2 times, right? Maybe he lost one, I think.
Yeah, the problem is that the Democrat Party, they always want to run it as a committee. They don't want to have one elected person as president. They want to be like, no, the presidency is going to be a committee. So we need to put a puppet in power who we can run. And a whole bunch of us are going to sit down and agree on every decision. It's like, no.
I think in some fashion, that's the way they meant it from the beginning. I don't think they meant to give the president all these executive order powers and shit that they use. That's why the actual laws are under the right. That's why the judicial is separate.
Why do you think that every time they have somebody who's actually pretty electable, somebody who you think this person could win, this person's articulate, this person's intelligent,
money,
why do you think they fight tooth and nail to pick somebody else other than that person?
You need a Democrat and a Republican to keep the charade going.
Because they are not collectivist, comrade.
Well, no, look, Bernie,
of the Democrat Party, they always vote the same way. And think about what Damon said in terms of, like, they could have had X, Y, Z. They could have had, they had RFK. They had the other bitch with the grey hair. They had like all these other bitches that came over, and hell had no fury like a woman scorned. So, like, no wonder this Gavin Newsom cunt's getting locked up. Do you know what I mean? They were sick and tired of this whole Democrat Party. Like I said, it was all some lad did this mission that we all vote the same. And if you vote outside the Democratic Party, you're not getting in terms of your thing. You're not, like, all of a sudden there's going to be a problem with your funding or whatever the fuck.
Even if Newsom wasn't getting in shit right now, they still would never put him forward. They won't put Newsom forward. Number one, they conditioned their base to think that white people who are rich are evil. So, like, you're not going to have a white man for a while. But the other thing is that he's too headstrong. He is going to want to do his own thing. Anyone who shows any kind of remote notion that they think for themselves isn't going to get elected. Biden couldn't think for himself because he doesn't even know what day it is. Kamala can't think for herself because she's got cum on the brain. She only got to where she is by fucking spreading her legs. You had Tulsi Gabbard. They could have had Tulsi, right? They could have had, I mean, fuck, even AOC's name's been thrown around, right? She can't think for shit. She does a 3-hour video stream to put together like a single drawer fucking IKEA cabinet. She can't do shit for herself. And anytime you had somebody who's got ideas, like Teriak said, like Bernie, right? It's just rejected. Like, no, they don't want anybody.
But ideas nonetheless.
Yeah. But they don't want anybody who's going to say, this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it. No, you can't do that. The only way you're going to have somebody who's an intellectual, who is somewhat intelligent, and who is actually likable and could get elected and has got people saying, we want this guy. The only way they'll put that guy in that seat is if they've got an absolute metric fuck ton of dirt on him. like
they're not
Clinton
going,
or
they're
Obama.
not going to put the opposite of that, because that would be a liability unto themselves. Like you don't want the least controllable person in the office. That's, I mean, you're right about that. I agree.
And like the whole kind of like I don't, because like it is very interesting on the political side, but in terms of the whole like gender war that we see just to get it back on the main topic of like the decline of the gender roles, this whole trans thing getting pushed in. Like, who the fuck was telling the Democrats that, yeah, that's what we need to push for? Trans rights.
That's what they wanted, because that's the thing that's going to subvert the culture and it's going to make people easier to control. That's what they wanted. They wanted that conflict. They wanted the country polarized with itself.
Well, any minority has, for some reason, and I brought this up in the debate, that whites should get reparations from blacks. I use the LGBTQ as a community project, saying, because they were saying, well, you can't be racist if you don't have power. Well, hold on. We have the LGBTQ community in California, yet they have so much power that we're flipping bathroom genders, we're changing school flags. Like, you see what I'm saying? So we're using a lot of victim ID as power. And I think that there's a subversion that happens when people use this. So we're giving minorities in significant groups so much power by telling it's such a delusional rhetoric that we're going down. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if any of you can answer why this is a thing, but that's just crazy to me.
Because it's kind of like, right. You know, the Bretton Woods Agreement, right? After World War II, pretty much every single allied nation was in an insane amount of debt. And they needed to basically say, how are we going to like fix the economic issue that we've got now? And America had most of the gold, right? So that's when they fixed the US dollar against gold. And all of a sudden, the other allied nations said, we agree that we're going to basically measure all of our currency against the gold standard that you have now fixed to the US dollar. And that way people could just say, we're going to trade, but whatever we sell you or whatever you're buying from us, like, we'll ask you to pay us in dollars, you ask us to pay us in dollars. Everybody wanted to trade with America because of that. So it helped the American economy. And it also helped the other economies know that we've got a stable way in which to trade instead of having to kind of ship gold around all the time, right? But the problem is, although that was great, and this is the reason why, well, it created an artificial, somewhat of an artificial need for dollars. So more and more dollars were getting printed. Now that's okay, because you could back it against the gold that the US held. But after Vietnam, everybody suddenly realized, shit, America's kind of become this massive welfare warfare state, and they're just going to war now, like, or, you know, conflicts now, just so that they can kind of print more money. And people started getting a bit hesitant about that. So all of a sudden you had France, Germany, Britain, other nations that were now kind of all trading, saying, no, we want you to pay us in gold. We don't want US dollars. And America at first didn't see a problem with it. They started saying, okay, fine, if you want some gold for whatever reason, we'll give you gold instead of dollars. But then Nixon realized America's hemorrhaging a shit ton of gold. And he realized what was going on. So he closed the gold window, I think, in the 1970s, early 1970s. And by 1973, he had to figure out, what are we going to value it against? And that's when Nixon and Kissinger cut a deal with the Saudis to value it against oil. So he made a deal with the Saudis saying, we'll protect your oil fields from anybody, including the Jews, right? And we'll give you US assets, we'll give you our weapons, we'll train your soldiers, we'll have our soldiers stationed on your oil fields. And in return, we want you to basically sell all of your oil and demand US dollars for it. So since then, they traded oil for US dollars, and you had that, basically, we got the petrodollar now, right? So if you look at that, and if you look at like how this is all kind of done, it's created a system whereby essentially America's in debt for every barrel of oil that the Saudis have sold since like 1973. Because when that deal collapses and the petrol window gets closed, you're going to have you're going to have not even hyperinflation. That isn't even the word for it, because all of it is valued against nothing. And this is whatever they do. Like, if ever you have any kind of currency that isn't actually a real currency, you have to wonder what is the worth behind it. Okay. And it comes from this same kind of concept of like Marxist currencies, right? Social currency in this respect doesn't really mean anything. You think you've got power, but the actual power you have is an artificial power. Okay, so you're black. Okay, so you're a lesbian. Okay, so you're trans. And you think you have power. Why? It's kind of like the response to it should be like that scene in like The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane just rests his arm on the dude's shoulder and likes to his neck. And he's like, oh, and this gives you power over me, right? Do you feel powerful, right? Because the only power you have is you think that I've been conditioned and that I'm not going to drop the N-bomb on you, or that I'm not going to say, you're a dude, you have a cock, right? Just because you got fake tits and you're kind of like talking in a high-pitched voice, you think that I'm not going to call you a man. You think I'm not going to misgender you or whatever, right?
I said it once, I'll say it again. Anyone who thinks that Dylan Mulvaney runs like a woman is goddamn deluded. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like the only power they have is the power that you allow them to have.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, they can throw you in jail. They can throw you in jail. They can say that's hate speech. And the police will come along like the good little stormtroopers they are. And they're going to arrest you for some bullshit reason. But what does that mean? And what power does that actual person have? Because they can't control what you can say. They can try and throw you in jail for it because the law is now corrupt. But that's only going to go along for as long as we allow it. Right.
I mean, to a certain extent, because I mean, if you think about it, not to be religious here, but they have blasphemy laws. If you really think about it, if I talk about the H cost and the J's on here long enough, or the stabby jabby thing, they would have deplatformed me, debanked me, and everything else. So it's like speech is controlled to a certain point. I mean, as much as they want to do this, but it's like you're talking about so many numbers basically caving into these rules and laws to where it's like even the guy that wants to fight, like me, if I fight, I'm fighting against masses that are in agreement with this. So I lose, I don't move the needle. And that's the problem with this. We're buying into this as a culture. And as long as we buy into this and nobody's stuck together and they're constantly keeping us divided, we're not going to have power because it's all in our head.
Well, so you said something that, so sorry if I can just respond. You said something that is really interesting, right? And I think that logic, and while I understand it, and I'm not trying to disagree with you because I understand why you believe that, and I believed that, and I think the reason why this nonsense has gone on as long as it has is because most of us have believed that at one point or another. You think it's the masses that believe this, and you think that if you say something, you're going to be outnumbered. You're going to be the one sane person screaming in a nut house, right? And all the crazy people are going to outnumber you and silence you.
That's a fallacy. You're right. That's a fallacy.
Exactly. That is a fallacy, right? And what the reality is, and this is the reality they hope that you're not going to realize, the reality is that because of social media, okay, which the left control, this is the stupid thing about the conservatives. Conservatives have never capitalized on the internet. They didn't take it seriously. They thought it's not going to be anything, and they allowed the Democrats, they allowed the left wing across all of Europe to seize the power of the internet and control social media. And because of that, they amplify the voices that they want to amplify, and they make it seem like those are the loudest voices and that's the majority, but it's not. And even if it was, even if the majority did genuinely believe this, the fact of the matter is the truth can't be outnumbered. It really can't. That's why we have stories like, for example, the Emperor's New Clothes. All it takes is one little quiet kid's voice to say, that motherfucker's naked.
Yeah, man.
You people are stupid.
And one sec, because I have a guest backstage. I would just like to, because we're all for free speech here, I'd just like to remind the audience that you can kick people $5 per 5 minutes, et cetera, and it's $50 to ban, but introduce our guest.
We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr.?
Mr. How did Dusty work?
You should up your prices.
Like I said, I'm a simple man, Flo. I'm a simple man.
Well, prices aren't staying simple. I know that vape costs more than it used to.
Does it?
I don't know. I don't vape.
It cost me $10. It's pretty cheap.
But I was going to ask you, man. I thought you quit all that shit.
No, about like I said, it's
Fell back into sin.
Is a wicked bitch. He's a wicked bitch.
Real quick, Damon, I was listening for a second, and even though your the OPEC thing, the dollar was a terrible long analogy, it was a fantastic like you did a really good job of explaining that, though. So salute to you for that.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And real quick, just to welcome back Joe, because I already done the intro for him on the first time.
Yeah, I didn't need to be called gay twice.
Yeah, no worries.
Everyone's a gay rights activist here.
Yeah. So what's on your mind, Flo?
Man, nothing. Been looking around for Marte some. Marte, when you gonna come talk to me?
I have a debate with Destiny on the 28th. So I mean, after that, I'm game. If you want to do a debate with me, so.
Did you have a topic in mind, Flo?
Just make random shit up.
After the 28th, why you got to wait till the 28th?
I don't know. That's when. So Wick TV just got wrecked on. I think it's Christian nationalism twice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like first he had me and then Andrew, and then it's like I don't know. It's one of the most. He was so evasive in that debate. It was crazy.
I didn't watch any of it. Not because of lack of interest, just because I was busy. But. No,
I get it. So yeah, he Wick TV set up this whole debate to where it's like you could talk about the stabby jabby or the insurrection, and then Fatty's going to debate Destiny too. So a bunch of people. I think what he's doing is what it sounds like is when Andrew's doing the whole 1v5 and Rachel's. I think Destiny's trying to do something like that and copy that system.
But I guess my question was, why is your schedule hinging on the Destiny thing? Because I have nothing to do with the Destiny thing.
Oh, because I want a little bit of a break. You know,
fair enough.
Yeah.
You just want to debate on anything, Flo, or you had Christianity? Y'all had a topic in mind?
Wick's interpretation is the opposite. It's so subjective. It's stupid. Wick is such an idiot.
I kind of want to, and I don't even know that I necessarily was looking for a debate. It could be a debate. It could be a conversation.
Yeah, we can have a conversation, man. That's
fine.
Do
that shit any night then.
Well, Joe, did you know that?
What's on your mind?
Well, I learned recently that Marte was a DEA agent until recently.
No, that was with Homeland Security. Well, so I don't. It wasn't. Our district person was from the DEA. I don't know how you got this information.
First of all, let me ask: is this something that you really want to talk about?
Hell no, not by the way he's stuttering right now. Clearly,
no. So I'll be open about this. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I recently got terminated because of the debates I was doing and because of the content I was doing. It turns out like 8 months ago, they started gathering paperwork and a lot of documents. So anytime you make a mistake, they save it on file. So they were stacking paperwork on me. So I found that anytime I had a major debate on LGBTQ or anything, I got pulled in office and I was getting a write-up. She happened to let it slip and say something to the effect of, "You're not doing content at work, are you? You're not doing your debates." And I said, "You listen to my debates?" I didn't. Well, anyways, enough about that. Back to what we were talking about. I was like, "Oh, you slipped up, bitch." Like you slipped up.
She was trying to trick you into confessing to, stealing hours.
I would have assumed that was your job description to disrupt shit on it. If you're a fan, I thought they'd give you a raise.
No,
they may have.
We can't.
All we know is what he's presenting to us.
Yeah, we can't do any of that stuff. So, I mean, thankfully, I'm in school right now. I'm doing trade school for diesel mechanic, and I already have a job lined up and all that stuff. I mean, I'll be all right.
Well,
if you're sincere, I feel sorry for you. It sucks. I feel sorry for you.
We won't get into it too much. Put your email backstage or something, and we'll set something up for later. But I will say that getting fired was one of the best things that happened to me, and hopefully it is for you too.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, diesel mechanics pay a lot of money, and this guy's saying, well, I don't want to get into specifics, but I already got a job and a contract lined up waiting for his company, and it's pretty good, man. It's not bad.
You got debate.
I also imagine it's not the kind of job where your boss is going to get pissed off if you say trans women are not women.
You read
it's also not the sort of job where you have to destroy people's lives as part of your economic function.
We've been watching your debates, bro. Ease up on the trans women, so I can't see it happening. You're fine.
And also, you're really undermining my ability to tell people they're just paranoid when people are accusing everyone else of being agents.
Yeah,
you know,
Browns
boys running around saying everybody's a fucking agent, and I'm like, you're paranoid. They don't need to put agents out here because we all are combative enough. And then here we go.
Yes.
Now I'm looking like an agent.
I was in law enforcement for over 11 years, so I mean, I totally understand this, and it's you can't be in that industry and be a public figure and talk about everything. So it's gonna bite you in the ass.
So my interest is mostly in the philosophy, the right and wrong, or the ethics of that industry. So just so you know, but we can talk more.
No, that's fair game.
Yeah, it's Philosophy Fridays. It's Philosophy Fridays. Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, he ain't got to divulge no personal shit on that shit. I think that's fair game. The philosophy of being.
I mean, sure, I can be fair.
Why'd you get there? Why'd you want to do it? You know, that type of shit. I think that's fair.
Well, no, I was telling Flo that I wanted to kind of a rest a little bit till the 28th because I'm studying for this Destiny thing. It's insurrection. He's lost to Andrew many times. All I got to do is just research footage and then do a little research.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about a debate. I was just talking about right now here on this panel. Flo was saying he's interested in the morals of.
What's a country you might visit, man, if you ever could visit somewhere?
I would say Germany.
Okay. Would you ever go back to your homeland, your family's homeland, you think?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sure, buddy.
Appreciate you, Triple B.
Crazy shit, bro.
A little lesson from Theo Von. But yeah, sorry, to get into your philosophy flow.
Okay, hold on. Here we go. Yeah. Who's got a feedback?
Not me, but I'm mute.
No, I think that anytime that you take a job, so I think this is true of all law enforcement, basically. Not all of it, but most of it. Anytime you accept a law enforcement job and the job requirements are to attack, raid, arrest people for things that you don't think should be illegal, you're a moral prostitute. And it's actually, I can't think of anything else that is more immoral than to sell your violence.
Your own morals.
Yeah,
he's saying the person enforcing it. He's saying the person whose job it is to enforce it.
I agree with you, Powder Dusty, on this. I totally agree with you on this. I've never taken an order, and this is why I've always had a fight with chain of command, because if there was ever a question and I had questions, they hated me. The chain of command hated because I literally debated against shit that I thought was immoral. I didn't want to do this. And they considered me a non-resource because they couldn't go to me because I wasn't a yes man. And this pisses people off in this industry because it runs into what you're talking about, this philosophical quandary of, I don't want to do this. It goes against my belief system, but I'm going to get paid to do something I don't want to do. I have never done this. Thankfully, I could sleep at night and look at myself in the mirror, but I see people do this all the time. And I have the same aspect of looking at this perception wise, that these people are just shit. And it makes you trust people less, people that I've worked with that do this. I agree.
Can I kind of give a counterpoint? Like, not trying to be a contrarian, but just to...
You're going to be a contrarian, but you're saying nice things. Okay, go ahead.
Not to be a cunt, but to be a cunt.
Basically, here's the thing. So imagine if it is a perfect society, right? If it's a perfect society, the ethical standard is basically established upon everybody's individual morals kind of coming together. And whether you have that most common overlap or what you decide to vote on a majority vote wins, that's what establishes the laws, and that's what kind of over time establishes whatever kind of understanding that you have of a system of ethics for that society.
Theoretically,
sure.
Yeah, theoretically. So I'm saying that's why I said, like, let's imagine if you have this kind of perfect society where that happens. And if that happens,
that's not perfect already. A perfect society, the majority wouldn't be allowed to dictate what you taking another man's money and shit. That'd be more perfect than to me. But go ahead.
Well, I meant perfect in the sense of establishing its laws that way based on
majority. That's a horrible idea. That's what we have now.
Majority. To give an example
better than what
of like I think what Flo was talking about, right?
Well, to take it to the point that I was trying to make based on what Flo said, to give the counterpoint, if you exist in this society where you have a system of laws, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have laws which, from your perspective, because some of them may differ from the moral opinions that you have, you might think just because it's legal doesn't make it right. And I disagree with this, right? With this particular law, I think that that's an amoral law or an immoral law, right? Now, you might, like you said, if you enforce it, you're basically kind of prostituting your beliefs, right?
Right.
And for example, like, let's say,
no examples. Get your point.
Can you name an amoral law though?
I've heard how long you're. Yes, I can. But
no, I'm just saying, like, if you, for example, think like, okay, we need to start rounding people up, right? This is. We
don't need an example.
Sorry.
We don't need an example. I've heard how long.
Yeah, no. Okay, so what? The only difference I'm saying is that, for example, might think. No, I'm not giving an example in that sense. I'm just saying that if it's a law that you disagree with and you think that's morally wrong, fair enough. But it could be, for example, something that you think you disagree with. But how do you know that your moral judgment in that system is correct? Maybe it's something that you have not got a good moral opinion on. And in that sense, you're if you're always thinking that you're the moral paragon here, you're going to be disagreeing with laws that you think, no, that's not right. That's not right. You might be one of those weirdos who think you need to have.
You're the moral agent. So we're only dealing with your moral actions.
Yeah. To steal man Flo's position, it's like, irregardless whether that's actually moral or immoral, within your own internal mind, that is a conflict that you are going to have to deal with or confront in terms of your life, and that's like the definition.
Yeah, but you could, like we spoke about, Taylak, you could be somebody who's wise enough to realize that you don't know everything. You also could be somebody who's wise enough to realize that maybe you're not going to be perfect in every single moral judgment. So what you could be doing is you could be somebody that's saying, I'm putting my faith in this higher power, right?
A man.
And you don't have access to the mind of God, hypothetically. Let's just say God.
Are we talking about giving authority to God? I thought he was.
Let's just say that God's there and God determines morals. You don't have access to that. You need to recognize that.
I would say the logo.
We're talking about moral action. You're a moral agent. You're responsible for your own behaviors. Mm-hmm. You have to determine for yourself what you think is best.
Yeah.
If you outsource that, you're still making a moral decision to not think for yourself. You're basically deciding to sell your morality to the highest bidder or to popular opinion. Either way, you can't escape the paradigm in which you have to make a moral decision for your own moral actions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand what he's talking about. He's talking about conditional morality, basically.
No, what he's talking about, like in terms of Nietzsche's position, is like people do this shit all the time. They will do immoral shit, even though they say they have this moral perspective.
Still conditional
morality. They literally lie to themselves. They're literally living in an illusion. Well, they're delusional.
Marte, morality is conditional, and I think that even the Bible agrees with me in that. That's why "thou shalt not murder" is the commandment instead of "thou shalt not kill." Murder is subjectively applied killing.
You're talking about an externality as far as make free will. That's what.
Let me give you an example, Marte. Right, there was this video like a while back, I think like half a year ago or some shit, like where a sheriff detective walked into a judge's office, took out the pistol, pop, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? This guy loses his mind." But it came out that this judge, he was killed. He was like literally running a brothel. So in terms of like morality, this guy is literally perverting, like the literally in terms of the aspect of justice. Because you can't just say it's like, oh, we should just prosecute him, because it's like this is one judge. It could be all of them.
So, Marte, are you saying you've never enforced a law that you've disagreed with?
No, not to my knowledge.
Have you arrested people for drugs?
Yeah, it's happened. It's happened before. My first job with PD. Yeah.
And you agree with all that?
So we have to understand that there's like unknowns about this. So due process means like we don't know the whole picture. There's an investigation that happens. So I would agree with that. The process of holding somebody until we get more information. I agree on that.
But let's not act like the process isn't the punishment. You've been on the offensive end. I've been on the defensive end. Even if things get dropped, the process is the punishment.
That depends though, because how do you have a process without calling it a punishment? What would you replace that with if we don't have that? The holding somebody until we get further.
What would I replace it? What would I replace it with? Well, I mean, I can speak because every case is different, right? So I can just speak anecdotally and use my case as an example. For one, you could have law enforcement. First and foremost, the crux of this is you could only have laws where there are actual victims. When we're talking about drug laws, is it a bad decision? Yes. But people are allowed to make bad decisions, and people are allowed to do drugs. People are allowed to do the worst drug, alcohol. So the arbitrary distinction of whatever illegal drug you want to choose, that criminalizing that is an attack on individuals' free will, which was given to us by God. And it is I mean, it's just unjustified. It's, in my opinion, a human rights violation.
What about like the other people? You're saying that there's like no victim in it, right?
Yes.
So you don't think that other people are going to get affected by you having a drug habit?
I think other people are affected by people driving cars. I think other people are affected by.
And we regulate that, right?
All sorts of things. A voluntary.
But that's regulated. Like if you're a reckless driver, you're going to have your license taken away.
All sorts of things have the potential to impact other people, but as far as
and I'm saying we regulate those things to protect society, right?
Oh, we definitely don't regulate all things,
not everything, no.
Right?
No. But
we do regulate those. We do regulate things. We regulate alcohol, right? Things are regulated, but the
I'm not sure we
barrier,
regulate the swings at a school, whatever you call.
If you got a few bolts in your garage, I'm not going to arrest you because it looks like you have the inputs to manufacture a vehicle.
Okay, but like explain the moral difference. Like, okay, so explain the moral difference of somebody becoming an officer of the law.
Crime is one in which there's no complainant or victim. Basically, everybody involved in the transaction is there willful or voluntarily.
Right. So somebody calls up and says like somebody beat the shit out of me, took all my money, and then you find out that the person who did
like a motherfucker immediately.
What?
That would be a victim. Someone got beat up, that would be a victim.
Right.
Yeah, and then you find the person who did it, and the reason why they did it was to support their drug habit. Are you still going to call the drug habit a victimless crime?
Yes. Yeah. No, beating somebody up is the crime with a victim, and it's already illegal.
Yeah, the guy had 27 days in a row before it. There was no victim.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the question I'll ask. Somebody has fentanyl and they weren't prescribed this. It either had to have been stolen or given, or it basically they went around this legal system to get this. So there had to have been either theft tied to the drugs or some subversive message around, metric around the law. That's a crime that's associated with something that even if
it would be smuggling.
That there's no victim. There's a crime associated around this of stealing. They don't have a medical permit to do this. They're not a doctor, but they're self-administrating this. They're breaking. That's like 3 laws already.
So when you arrest somebody for having drugs, do you charge them with possession of stolen property?
No. There's actually a process they go through.
So you're describing a different crime, right?
Yeah.
Doing drugs, having drugs, there is no victim here. Buying drugs, selling drugs. These are all voluntary transactions, and you can say that they're irresponsible voluntary transactions, but most of us are sitting up here smoking, right?
Never seen fentanyl.
Yeah.
Never seen fentanyl just given out on street corners. It had to have been stolen from somewhere. Like a crime had to have happened for you to be in possession of this drug.
Smuggling is generally
if you think about coke, if you think about coke, it's the same thing, right? No doctors prescribe coke or anything. So it originated. We're actually preventing crime from even happening for you to even get coke.
You're preventing absolutely not. You're creating a whole new class of criminals.
No, we're creating more of a deterrent. I would say that there's more of a deterrent from this because You know, it's like, well, if this person got caught, well, people have to keep up, right? This is the problem. And this is going to be a forever quandary that we come up with, right? Let's say that somebody gets caught for selling coke on this pier over here where ships are being docked, right? They get caught. That's preventative. That's added a deterrent, but it's only temporary because they're like, this is how we're not going to get caught by selling at the docks next time. We're going to find a raft to do it around this corner. So it's like one person's chasing another tail. So it's like something.
But the criminality that you're describing is smuggling, right? Which is also, I would say, in this case, a victimless crime. If you just legalize drugs, you would sink the bottom out of that. You would have addicts instead of inmates. You would have way less organized.
We have pharmaceutical companies like that. Like those are drugs. Those are legal drugs.
And in the 40 years in the war on drugs, substance use has increased.
I agree. The war on drugs is a trash war. It's not helped at all.
Your peer analogy. You say that you prevented a crime by saving this dude. It was temporary, but you saved someone. I say
I never said saved.
Okay.
What I was using a deterrent because you're not really saving people, but you're deterring a method of transit. People always find a different way of transit. That's all you're doing is just delaying a process, in my opinion.
I'm saying that rather than creating a deterrent, what you created was a victim. You actually hurt a motherfucker, jailed a motherfucker, and all of that. Because I can see an equal scenario where the guy got his drugs across, sold them, no one died, everybody at the party had fun. The only victim was created by you. If we're talking about what could have happened.
Well, we can't have allowance of like fentanyl in the street. I don't know if you guys ever know what I think it's called black fentanyl. I think it was in Chicago. It wasn't in Chicago, but basically, and this is really tinfoil hat stuff. It's a form of fentanyl that's sold to where it eliminates the user. Absolutely. So it sounds like some ABC or some pharmaceutical company created this. Why would you ever make a drug to kill eliminate the user? To me, that doesn't sound like it's a street drug that was created. Some pharmaceutical company created this.
Murder. That's
for
murder.
Maybe. That's what I'm saying. From an urban area, this is where it's infiltrating. And I think it's probably maybe to eliminate a certain subsect of people. This is like
they don't have a lot of
very tinfoil hat, but it gets way off the case because you know what would prevent all those deaths is if people didn't have to go buy street fent. If heroin had been legal the whole time, you'd buy it from a store and nobody would have bothered to try to do that.
Let me phrase it this way. What right does the government have to stop me from just buying like any medication?
Well, it wouldn't be a right. So you're also talking about businesses. You're saying businesses that are copywriting things and saying, well, we own the monopoly on this. All you're doing is saying, hey, Coke, you should give your ingredient out to anybody else, and anybody can be a Coke manufacturer.
Marte, what I'm saying is like literally like the drugs, the pills that you take are literally like synthesized from plants and shit like that. Cocaine is synthesized from a plant. I mean,
right.
So what right do you have to me to prevent me from just buying whatever drugs I want? So I'm like chemically sophisticated, and I'm one sec, and I'm a responsible drug user. Just remember that language that I'm using. I'm a responsible drug user. Like I'm doing a contribution to society, but I just like taking amphetamines or methamphetamines or whatever.
Can I answer
do wacky science?
I'm actually conceding.
What right have you to stop me from doing that?
I'm conceding we don't have rights, but these are made up. You're talking about a made up construct.
No.
What businesses are doing?
Stick with me here.
Yes,
Terry, can I explain something, Terry? Can I explain something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So, like, first of all, like, because of a government's supposed purpose, right, to like help society run the way it should run, right?
Okay.
Number one, you could argue that the reason why it has that right is because you're not going to be a responsible drug user. Just think about what a drug is. Think about the fact that when you...
One sec, I get you. When
you take drugs...
Yeah, like because like what you're saying is like in terms of, like you have to like look out for like people because it's mind altering, all this kind of stuff. But that's the same argument that people use to take their guns. Because if I'm a responsible drug user, why are you stopping me from doing it? Just because there's other people out there that aren't as, let's say, strong minded as I am, where I can handle, let's say, the shrooms or whatever. I mean, why are we
you're
doing
gonna get? We know by the very nature of
Teriak, there's a problem you're going to run into because with guns, there's training.
One sec. Without you going like try to do core and all this kind of stuff to run away, what I'm highlighting to you, Marta, is you're all for the Second Amendment. Don't take my fucking guns away. like in terms of
how is
the
using
same
a
logic
gun going to? How is using a gun
logic,
going to affect your judgment?
one sec. The same logic can be applied. It's like, fuck you, don't take my drugs away.
Cars away because cars kill people too. But there's training with cars. We have a driver's license permit.
No, but wait. More importantly,
can you let Teriak like make its fucking point?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought you made your point.
Yeah. What I'm fundamentally getting at is like and Joe Rogan's made this argument many times. Like when you look back to the art and style and all stuff, like in the 60s, 70s, before they outright banned psychedelics, art and all that shit was getting creative. It was even the design of cars, all this kind of shit. It was like way more creative than it is now, where it's stale. Everybody can agree. Like they're literally building square buildings and shit. There's no creativity whatsoever in it. Yeah. And part of that, even when you go back as far as the ancient Greeks, drugs was part of that, but they didn't have a distinction between medicinal and recreational. It was medicinal.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but look at those facts. I just want to say, look at the designers, look at the artists, look at the musicians, and how many of them fucking killed themselves before they hit 35, right?
How many did?
It's like,
but I have a different.
How many? Yeah. Okay. The thing is that, like, are you going to be doing that though? Are you going to say we should sacrifice like 30% of our creatives or 30% of our population just for the sake of saying, oh, we're going to have a revival in creativity?
That's
like, is there not a better way of doing it?
You're speculating. You're assuming.
You're actually speculating, because the stuff that you're speculating on is you're saying these are the individual crimes. Hold up, one sec.
The issues you're describing are already illegal. It's already illegal to smash in a car window for drug money. It's already illegal to do things badly in a way that impact other people. So if you're a bad drug user because you can't manage yourself, the violations that you commit while you're high will do you in.
Right, but the problem that you're overlooking is every time you say these are the crimes involved with me possessing a drug, or these are the crimes involved with me sitting at home and consuming a drug that's, let's say, banned, right? A banned substance. You're trying to say, you were saying earlier on, Tomato, I think it was, you're saying, but like, this is a victimless crime. This is a victimless crime. This is a victimless crime. And you're arguing that we should just allow drugs. What you're ignoring is that you're ignoring the fact that if you just allow it and say it's all going to be legal, then you think that those are the only crimes attached to drug use. They're not.
We're saying
you're ignoring the knock-on effects to other crimes, and then you're saying, but we're going to have that anyway. Yes, you're going to have that anyway, and laws exist to prevent those. The problem is, by legalizing drugs, you're going to massively increase the likelihood of those things happening. And you're just saying, well, we should just do that because those laws already exist. That's a stupid thing to argue for.
Let me give you an example, right? Let's say we have some sort of like drug school or testing school and stuff. You go take a test, like a driver's license. Then you have a card where it's like you have access to everything. But if you like go out of whack, you go out of your mind and you binge or whatever, and you go out of your mind, whatever, then we take that card away from you. Would you be fine with that system?
I'm gonna drop this conversation and get in touch with Marte later, because I ain't trying to have this panel shit pop up. Seriously, this is not the conversation I want to have.
Yeah, I don't mind setting the fuck up and giving you and Monte the floor. Who's the host?
Oh, do you want? Okay.
I'm not trying to be a bitch about it. I know that. I apologize for being snippy and bitchy.
We'll get some romantic music going. You know what I'm saying?
Now I feel like a fucking bitch and an asshole because I am being one.
We can have this later. We don't got to have this right now. I just wanted to ask Teriak a question. That's it. My question.
Come back, Teriak. I get it.
I just wanted to ask, because we need training for guns, training for driver's licenses. How would you set up a system? What are we doing? I know what we're doing. So gay right now.
Don't worry. The music is not going to make you gay. If you weren't gay before, you'll still be not gay after.
I get it. Just feels like it's insinuating gay right now.
I know. He's taking a shot at me because I'm being a bitch and I deserve it.
I see that.
So where can I go to get training to be able to use drugs? That would be the answer.
Well, that's the question that I had, because if you can be trained to this music's kind of throwing me off. If you can get trained to be a drug user, and we had classes for this, you also create another conundrum, because then you have doctors that can't like I would say a protected class of drugs that's no longer protected, no longer behind walls of protection or anything. But you could say that there's gun safes for guns, but it's like, I don't know how you would regulate the training for this. Would you offer new dispensary items for fentanyl?
It's sort of an absurd question because we don't require training for alcohol. You're assumed to be able to consume alcohol responsibly until you're demonstrated not to. I think that's what I would suggest. But regardless, even if I wanted to entertain the training angle, we have so much resources going into the war on drugs. We could set up training shops in every family room in the country. If that's what we want.
Because it's so strong. I'll tell you what happened. I was with this guy, Officer Reza. He's part of the canine unit when we had it. And I walked into a room.
I hate canines, by the way. Fuck dogs.
And they're usually German Shepherds or Malinois. They're smaller dogs. American dogs are overfed. But anyways, and I got hit automatically in the face. It was, I don't know if it's airborne or whatever this is.
What?
Fentanyl. I got hit and it was like in the air. It was airborne. And then he went in the bathroom. We were just doing an inspection and it's like, we automatically got hit. I was hospitalized and it's like, it's hard to say, well, there can't be training for something so powerful that even airborne dust particulates, you're hospitalized.
That stuff exists only because of the war on drugs. That's innovation forced out of necessity. If it weren't for that, there would.
Can you demonstrate how it was only forced out of necessity?
Yes, because heroin addicts want heroin. They don't want some new thing they've never heard of. Nobody wants to go through the trouble of developing a whole new molecule if they don't have to. And the time that when fentanyl hit the market was exactly when we pulled out of Afghanistan and the Taliban crushed the poppy fields.
I can agree to that.
It's purely a product of prohibition that we have fentanyl at all.
Well, my question is for something that does kill a lot, destroy a lot of people. I don't want to use certain language. That does destroy a lot of lives. I'm thinking there has to be a regulation. That's what I'm referring to. Alcohol is regulated.
That law enforcement doesn't destroy lives?
I'm not saying that it doesn't.
Because all that the prohibition by enforcing drug laws, all you're doing is taking this may fuck your life up to I'm
saying I'm granting this to you, Powder. I'm granting this. If we allowed this, how would you regulate this?
Just like alcohol. I would make every drug just like alcohol.
So you would say I go down to the Circle K 7-Eleven and just get a hit of Fent or my Fent pack or something like that?
Yep.
Then we have nothing to argue about.
The most harmful part,
a metric or a system you can come up with. Yeah, why not? I have no argument against it because alcohol is a drug. That gets regulated. But if you could put this on the same level of those things, then I have no argument against that.
So you actually do agree with me that the war on drugs is immoral then, in that case? If you think I should be able to go to the corner store and buy whatever I want just the same as it's alcohol, then why would...
The caveat would be until you have a system that is safe and you don't have regulation, it's immoral. But I think that if you could regulate it like alcohol, because here's the thing though, I think that alcohol isn't immoral until you give it to kids under like 12 years old and things like that. That's the case of Fent.
You can't regulate something as long as it's illegal, right? That's the law enforcement is preventing that system from ever being developed.
No, like I said, I'm granting that to you. Let's say we legalize this, but then there's a regulation, right? A company comes out with a way to regulate this to where there's like a certain percentage that you get from a hit. It doesn't kill people. Yes, I could grant that all day long, but until then, it's immoral. That's what I'm saying.
So as a DEA agent or whatever, the DEA agent now is a cog in the machine that is preventing a better system from happening. The job of the DEA agent is to attack people who are doing things that are illegal, but have no victim, have no harm. I wouldn't say that we're the extension arm of the government. So what I would say is what's preventing that is you're talking about people that are paying into wolf packs, people that are passing laws, and those are the people that are preventing that. All we're doing is the will. Right. You're the one doing it. You're the stormtroopers.
Yeah. We aren't the ones creating these laws or passing them.
So does that hold up for, say, people who ran Auschwitz? It's the same exact argument. There's argument. You can make no legal or really respectable moral claim that I'm just doing my job. It's not my fault. I'm not responsible.
Remember what I said? If we could trace back to what I said was I've never done a job and I've refused things that I was told to do. So if I was at Auschwitz, see how consistent my logic could say? They'd say, put these people in this oven, put this person in this stove. And I'd say, nope, I'm not doing that, but I'm cleaning the floors.
But instead what they're saying is put this person in a box and take away the next 20 years of their life because they got high. And you say, okay.
I would say that I agree with that because it's illegal, because there isn't a metric to save lives. So let's say that we changed the system and there was a way to regulate this, like alcohol. Let's say that we had regulation, and I actually conceded this to you. I said there's a way to regulate fentanyl to where it's sold on every block, all this other stuff, and it was safe and nobody could die. And we ensured that kids weren't like no kid could open up a box.
Don't give us impossible standards like childproof boxes.
That's not an impossible. We have aspirin. Too much it'll take somebody out.
Right.
That's not impossible.
Sure. And you know what? Exactly. So
alcohol's regulated. That's not impossible.
Right. Do they have childproof bottles? No. So
what are you saying?
Regardless, maybe okay. So regardless of whether or not the legal safety standards, you know, the little hard to twist tops or whatever are available, the fact of the matter is that there's something that is illegal right now. It's criminalized. You as law enforcement attack criminals.
There's no metric to control people, the way that people don't die or anything.
You're justifying, but you're getting ahead of yourself because you're participating.
We have this for guns, we have this for beer, but we don't have this for that. If you can add that to it, then I'll concede my whole point.
If I can add, we don't have that in existence right now.
We do with alcohol.
Why don't we have it with drugs? Do you the number one resistance to legalizing marijuana is police unions. You guys refuse to allow this to not be harmful because it's a job.
I'll ask you a question. Do you think that
ignore that point?
You want me to elaborate on what point?
The fact that police unions are the number one resistance to making marijuana legal and allowing it to be less harmful because you guys profit from.
I would beg to differ. I think that we would say, you even called us the stormtroopers. Stormtroopers aren't responsible for any of this stuff. All we do is conduct.
Yes,
I would say a service, right, for the public. I would say even that's a guise. I would say that. I'll even concede that to you. But here's my thing, though. I can concede all this to you. I'll concede every last bit to you. All I'm asking for is saying if you can find out if there's a way that we can regulate it just like alcohol, because alcohol is regulated, just like everything else. Driving is regulated. All these things are regulated. Even non-drugs and drugs are regulated. If we can regulate this, then I'll concede my whole argument and point to you.
I got you. Because all of these drugs were developed before the war on drugs. Meth is like 120 years old.
Right. Alcohol's older than all this stuff too. Right?
And how old are you? Were about the same age. I'm 38, right? Like we're somewhere in the
same age. Yeah.
When our parents were kids, was there a meth epidemic?
No. I didn't hear about this as much.
There was not. And it's because even though they were developed, it didn't need to be managed. There wasn't a lot of demand for it. The demand comes with the prohibition because now you've got something. Cocaine is more valuable by weight than gold, not because it's hard to produce, but because it's illegal. So
I can concede that.
You have artificially.
That makes sense, actually. Yeah, I can agree to that. Yeah.
So now it's so valuable and it's addictive. You've got pushers. They've got a big incentive now to get people addicted. So now you're promoting it, right? Like think of the Breaking Bad was just ranked by, I don't remember who, the #1 best TV show of all time. If it weren't for the glamorization of drugs because of the huge profit margin, how are you going to convince people to smoke Drano out of a light bulb?
So you're still running into what I was talking about in the end. How would we? So here's the thing. If you can concede this, then I'll agree with everything else. I agree with you that this has always existed. And the war on drugs and prohibition may have made it more valuable. Things that are scarce and more valuable are rare. This is all one and the same. This can happen. I'm agreeing with you. Here's the thing, though. If we can come to some concession as to how we can regulate this, it's going to get commercialized. I'm telling you right now. And if it gets commercialized in the end, just like alcohol and everything else, then I concede my whole point. I'd say, yeah, of course. But you know what that does?
Did you agree
it makes a safer environment for people that do this? But that's the reason why I would say morally I'm not wrong, because I'm protecting lives. Because it's, but you understand, I'll agree that it's a double-edged sword. It cuts twice. Because if you're saying that you're going to prohibit drugs, you're making more users. But if you regulate it, you're going to make more users. So it's like not, but all I'm saying is that it's not morally wrong if I say that you're creating a system to protect more people by commercializing it.
Martez, do you agree? I'm sorry to overlook all that you just said. Do you agree that the system, police and the system, crushes endless lives, fucks over endless, and creates endless victims in your path to save those lives that you're talking about?
It's almost like you didn't hear the conversation between Power.
Okay, please give me the short
Well,
version.
I mean, it's a relevant question though, because it keeps kind of jumping off of that component.
No, I just answered that. Actually, I answered that.
Yes, you acknowledge that you create a whole bunch of victims. You do victimize people in your efforts to save lives.
But the other way too, you're creating a lot of victims if you don't create a regulation for this.
Most
That's
people
the
know
answer is the regulation. We'll all agree if we regulate this.
You're in denial, Marte. That's
not in denial.
You're in denial. Look,
no, what you're assuming? Let me point out
that I've.
Would you deregulate?
I can give you,
and I'll shut up after this.
100%
One thing I want to point out: you're basically saying that because there's no regulation, it's like somehow like the drugs' fault.
No, because there's no safe way, because there's no measure to make it like alcohol.
One sec. It was like objectively, like this is a fact. Like during when they made alcohol illegal, they deliberately made it stronger and stronger. Like the best seller was like moonshine, because you're transporting more alcohol volume per.
I've conceded
area.
that. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like in terms of like I said, kind of like regulating all this kind of shit. Like there's not really an argument out there to say that we should still, because like marijuana is still a Schedule 1 drug.
Do you understand what I mean?
Crazy.
So when I say regulation, I'm saying that we control the amount of hits that people take. Like if I take a hit and I know it's not going to kill me because regulation has made it safer for me to take, then I would agree with that. That's the regulation I'm talking about.
That's your argument then why you're okay with weed being illegal in one state and legal in another, is if it's not regulated.
But we're moving off
that's not a law. Yeah, that's that's not a law enforcement.
We're moving off the core point. The core point is that you have something, you have an enforcement system that is causing more harm than if it weren't enforced. You're ruining people's lives.
Can you tell me how the opposite doesn't ruin lives if we don't regulate the usage in metrics to which how many people can take a dose and training information out there? Without any of this, how are we not ruining lives?
Because if you get the law enforcement out of it, if you just let the free market handle it, like alcohol, you have standardization, you have regulatory standards, industry standards, product safety standards.
We don't have the free market out of the alcohol industry. That doesn't exist. The free market is involved with alcohol. They regulate that, by the way, too.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's legal. It's just so by making something entirely illegal, you don't get rid of it.
You understand why it's illegal? Because it's not regulated. If you can regulate it, it can be legal.
You can regulate it.
We're both agreeing. Thank you. We're agreeing.
So we agree then that the law enforcement component is causing more harm in the substance abuse struggle.
No, what I think is causing more harm.
Can I just ask for what metrics?
The lack of safety protocols, the lack of education, and the lack of regulation by commercializing it is causing more harm, because that's preventing. Because if you install that, then why need law enforcement?
My inability to handle drugs well is what will protect me from government bullets.
Your inability to handle guns because of lack of safety, training, and everything like that is going to create a detriment to yourself and society.
We're talking about responsible drug use. If I'm
an
irresponsible
requires training, education.
There's no
regulation
training that will protect me from government bullets when the cops kick in my door because they heard I was getting high.
Right, just like there's nothing that can save you from government bullets if I start beating the shit out of a spouse. I mean, that's the thing. If we're talking about harm, regulate.
The government is protecting somebody. Nobody's being protected when you get raided. I've been raided 3 times, motherfucker.
You are being protected because if you have a gun that's not a gun safe.
When you introduce the violence to the situation,
if you're going to offer something, use something that can be mapped across the board. If I have a gun that's not in a gun safe and a child gets a hold of this, you're going to get doors kicked down regardless, or in ambulances, something's going to happen. That's what I'm talking about. If you can't control
if somebody gets harmed
and regulation, that's bad.
And if you have a kid overdose, that parent's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, but more likely people are going to use drugs.
Why does that happen? Because of a lack of regulation, which means that there's education.
No,
that means that we have knowledge that's put out there, safety protocols. Everything that can kill somebody needs this involved with that in the infrastructure, guns.
Okay,
drugs,
how much training should you have to? How much training should you have to undergo to buy antifreeze
measures?
How much training should you have to undergo to buy antifreeze?
That's not something you ingest.
It could be ingested, though.
People poison people with
you can ingest glass. You don't need training for that.
Exactly. You're illustrating my point.
How many people die from drinking antifreeze?
A lot. They use it as poison.
Yeah. A lot? That's crazy. No, that's completely fallacious, Joe Cool.
You look into it.
We just making shit up now? That's crazy.
No,
a lot of people drink antifreeze.
It's to poison.
What about gasoline? How much training should you have to undergo to pump gas into a car?
Here's the thing. I'll even entertain this thought. Let's say that there was a populace.
Going back to earlier when you were saying that to regulate it, you'd be destroying more lives than if you just legalized it. Like, how are you measuring that?
Well, how we would measure. So, do you understand the definition when I'm talking about regulating, right? Do you understand what I mean by regulate?
Over the line. I think he's got an idea, man.
No, Damon's asking Flo, how are you measuring the harm?
What?
Damon's asking, how are you measuring the harm? How are you making?
We can look at the war on drugs itself and its effectiveness at reducing substance abuse rates, and see that in those 40 years, substance abuse has gone up, as has the number of incarcerated and overdose deaths.
Shit, guys, I think I'm having connection issues. I can't hear you. Sorry.
Okay, we can hear you, but you probably didn't hear me say that.
Try refresh. I'll bring it back up.
Also, we can look at his alcohol prohibition, and if you look at the number of cops killed, say in the line of duty, organized crime. I mean, that was the heyday of gangsters, right? All that is specifically the product of prohibition. Prohibition increases the harm done by substance abuse across the board dramatically. It increases murders. It increases the number of cop deaths. It increases the number of incarcerated. It increases the number of overdoses.
No, I agree. I'm agreeing with you. I've already agreed on this.
How is it moral for you to be part of the problem?
The only reason why I can tell you that it's immoral, and I'm not even going to say because I'm Eastern Orthodox or anything like that. The reason why I can say this is because let's say that I would think that guns are immoral. And the way that I'd explain to you that guns are immoral is because they're not regulated, meaning like there's no training. We just have guns, but there's no societal-wide training on this. There's no restrictions, like you can't take guns to school, things like this. Then I would say that's immoral.
The deficit in training and the application of prohibition are two different things.
So here's the problem, though. How do you reduce harm?
Stop beating motherfuckers up over their guns and drugs.
No, that doesn't have to do
all the violence in America.
No, we're back at square one.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
We're back at square one. So if I say everybody can use fentanyl, do you think that the usage or protective measures would go up or down?
I would not go out and use fentanyl, crack, or any of that.
You're not going to answer the question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The question doesn't make sense. Say it again.
So you want me to say it again, even though you said it doesn't make sense? You didn't understand the question the first time.
If you could rephrase the
question.
Crazy.
Do you want me to say it again?
Let me rephrase my request. Will you rephrase your question?
Oh, you want me to rephrase the question? All right, I will. Okay, so if we release a drug, we'll just remember RoboCop when they had this drug that was so powerful that this dead guy that was brought back to life wanted to use this and he would do anything for it. Let's say that we release this on the streets. I forgot what this was called. But we release it on the streets. We don't offer training. We don't say, hey, this is what safe use is. There's safe use places to use this at. And we just say, because remember, cigarette butts were everywhere when people
instead of using a RoboCop drug, can we use something we're familiar with so we'll have a reference? Can we say
you just
want to heroin or something? so we'll know.
You just want to go ahead and tell
one sec, Martin.
Well, the drug name was Mute, by the way. It was Mute.
Let him make his analogy, and then we'll bring it back to a real one. That we don't need an analogy.
Martin, walk down this path with me, will you? Walk down this path with me, okay? Would you agree that like no law or regulation is going to stop a bullet? You know what I mean? And if you take away the guns, it's the bad people are still going to have the guns, correct?
That's just saying that we want to go. So here's the thing. I would say,
you see the contradiction.
You can see anything. No, there's no contradiction.
Because we just replace gun with drugs.
A caveat. So there's a caveat.
The bad people are still going to get the drugs.
There's a caveat there that's consistent. I can say that people are still going to get the drugs, but absent training, absent warnings, absent anything where we have places for fair use, meaning like if you want to smoke, remember back in the 50s when people could smoke on TV, J.R. Vidalis, they'd smoke in the hospital, but now we've reduced this. So it's like now kids are getting less secondhand smoke, right? If we regulate this where there's use, you're going to find less bottles of this drug of fentanyl in certain places and playgrounds and everything. So in order to reduce this to create a safer environment, what do we need to do? Create these systems in place for this.
I'm not sure.
Marte,
wait, hold up.
You know what that was? Marte,
hold up for a second.
You know what that was? That was this.
What would you do if you won the lottery?
Open up a buffet.
That was a nothing burger. Damon, go ahead.
No, wait. Yeah. So okay, let me ask Teriak on this. Just let me ask you a couple of questions.
I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Okay. So okay, let me ask to Teriak and also to Dusty. If you guys want to have a gun, if you're saying like, oh no, yeah, okay, we want to legalize this or in the UK or whatever. If I ask you, why do you need a gun or why do you want a gun? What's your answer going to be?
Self-defense.
Self-defense. Okay, cool. So there's there could be a valid reason for you wanting one which doesn't put anyone in danger apart from somebody who wants to put your life in danger, which is fair enough. If I ask you now, why do you want to have a drug? Why do you want to have drugs?
Why should we legalize that?
Right. Thank you. Okay. So what happens when you get high?
Damon, he donated $20, but I will answer your question or give you the perspective that you want, though. But I'll see you in 20 minutes. Where is it? So yeah, like in terms of that whole dynamic, it's like to me these are mind-altering drugs, and because I'm a thinker, I want to expand my mind. So I want to be a responsible individual about it. I'm not just gonna like go to a candy shop and just start like putting all my like hands in the pick and mix and just throwing everything into me. I'm gonna come at it from particularly with like psychedelics. How are psychedelics banned? I don't get that. How was like marijuana a Schedule 1 drug? I mean, it's crazy to me.
So who has marijuana? Do people die from one hit of marijuana?
Nope.
No, but by your logic, you've created 1 billion victims from weed.
With fentanyl,
and if they tell you to keep
die all the
creating
time from
victims,
just
you
like
would.
For example, Marte, the kids have
crazy.
ADHD. Kids have ADHD to give them basically to give them amphetamines, which is basically like a slightly weaker version. One sec, that's a slightly weaker version than meth, right? They give that to kids, right? But why can't a mathematician or a deep thinker take just literally buy amphetamine so we can spend more time thinking about like the deepest like mathematical problems or scientific problems?
Wait, hold on. Wait, let's follow. I'll entertain this. How is that mathematician, if we grant this, able to take this?
Smoke it.
He just goes to a pharmacy.
Pharmacy, right? Which means it's regulated.
He goes to a corner store. Either way, it's legal for him to get.
Right. It's legal, which means it's regulated. The whole argument I was making the whole time.
Yes, it's legal but regulated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Why is there not a regulated? Why is there not a regulated market for it,
Let me explain. The whole point that Flo is trying to make is that like you clearly don't have an issue with it being legal. Then, you know what I mean? So then, why were you doing the?
I don't have an issue with it being legal as long as it's regulated.
Yeah.
Why do police lobby so hard? Unions lobby so hard to keep it from being legalized?
No, we never lobbied against it.
You personally, just Google
not our sector. We haven't lobbied against that.
Law enforcement police unions? Yes, you fucking have.
They say
you're talking about police. That's a whole. All right, then whatever. Those guys.
I mean, you're just a different zebra, same stripes, though, right?
No,
law enforcement profits from crime. Now, Crime should be illegal if there's a victim. But
dollars don't come from drugs. That's crazy.
Dollars don't come from drugs? Are you kidding me?
Not those direct dollars, because you can't prove that.
Hold on. Hold the fuck
You can't
on.
prove if you make something rare, the price don't go up.
Because when you're talking about financial...
what was the military doing in the poppy fields in Afghanistan then? You think that was just
I'm talking about
how does asset forfeiture work?
You're Teriak. You're creating a fallacy right now.
How does asset forfeiture work?
Do cops get paid? Did we directly, our department, get paid directly from poppy fields in Afghanistan?
No, it's an indirect payment.
Oh no!
Directly in there. He's gonna add directly.
Look, you might be stupid, but you're acting stupider than you are.
Reach. How much further can you reach, Teriak and Powder Dusty?
Okay.
Can you find something direct? Can you find a correlate at least?
Our department's not funded by seized assets.
I mean, that's unfalsifiable. You're asking me something that I mean, I wouldn't even know.
Law enforcement fund themselves by seizing assets from criminals.
You're talking about like police. If something's been in the law for a long time, they'll take it. Yeah, of course. That's anything. Okay. That's not even police. These are regular people that can do this.
Can do what? I can't walk into Joe Cool's house and take his shit.
No, if a pawn shop gets something and it just dropped off and then somebody leaves and he's like, "Oh, nobody takes this off my hands.
Whoa,
20 days, it's mine."
Whoa! Your analogy sucks, bro.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
Sure, it sucks. That's not how this shit
pawn
works.
shops get shit all the time. If it stays over 20 days, they're like, "Fuck it." If no one claims it, it's mine.
Seize assets from people.
Everybody else
don't know who it is. It's because the people didn't request their stuff.
That happens a lot. This can be mapped onto other areas of society, not just law enforcement.
Now you're lying. Now you're being a liar to me. We both know that you're lying to me.
Pawn shops don't do this. They don't do that.
You're about pawn shop.
Wait, hold on. No, wait, hold on. A lie and a deflection can be two different things. Do pawn shops not do this?
Deflecting?
Another deflection.
No, you said lie. Also, now you're going to go back on this?
Right, we're going to get to it. Why are you deflecting?
I'm not deflecting. I'm giving you an example. You asked the question, and I'm giving you an example of somebody else who does this, and that this can be mapped onto other areas of society. You're saying it like it's only law enforcement. It's not true.
Why do you know that the reason that it's different is because law enforcement is not just capturing lost and found items. Law enforcement is taking items from people.
That's the difference.
You're talking about
and bringing it to the pawn shop, handing it over.
So
They're
I'll ask you a
actively
question.
taking it. You know the difference.
Can I answer it,
Your
Joe?
pawn shop analogy sucked.
I can't answer a question. Because you can't refute it doesn't mean it doesn't suck, Joe. So back to what I was saying is, so this is what I'm saying. So if there is a stolen car and nobody claims it, police can't hold on to it.
That's not the issue at hand.
No, I'm walking you through this. No. Great. So they can hold on to this. What do they do after nobody claims this? Can they not take this? Can we not say, okay, it goes back to the city? Who's the city people? What would you do? How would you change this? If you could warp that situation and change these laws and how they conduct this, how else would you do this?
That's not the situation I'm talking about. Get your straw man out of here. Do you see these? These are legally owned guns that I forfeited. There's more pages too. Now they weren't confused about whose shit that was.
You're talking about something that other people do as well too.
Listen to
talk about law enforcement. This is how law enforcement funds a large part of its operations. I was not charged with gun crimes. None of these guns were owned illegally. All of them, as part of my plea deal, I handed over to law enforcement. They got to dispose of them.
Did you have a felony?
Not at this time. I did after the plea deal. But look, regardless.
So you had a felony, so you couldn't own a gun. Oh, yes.
No, here, you know what? Let me pull up the next page. Hold on a second. I'm gonna show you the next page.
Else, right? Let's go.
Because first of all, just because I'm not allowed to own something doesn't mean that that I can't dispose of it. I could have given it to any number of family members. But
that's not how it works, though. If I seize a gun from you and I give you your gun back, am I allowed to take the bullets out of the gun before I hand it back to you?
Here, real quick. Let me zoom in on this. How about that item 44, 27 miscellaneous knives?
Yeah, I mean, I can concede that. It doesn't destroy my whole argument.
Why was this part of my plea deal?
I don't know your specific.
I can answer it. Because in the state of Kansas, the proceeds from stuff like this is split 50-50 between the agency that seized him and the prosecutor's office. It's robbery. That's why.
Yeah, but like Marte, one sec, Marte. Anybody who's played GTA will tell you if the cops bust you, you lose all your shit.
You know what's crazy about this? When I'm supposed to respond to something, I have to now respond to another thing. So I'm doing
I'm just leaving you with one line philosophy.
I don't mind doing it.
Okay. I'll put you full stage. We know you want to go full stage. Let's go.
No, that's not what I said. I'm not saying I want to go full stage. All I'm asking for is justification that logically makes sense. And if we could do that, then I'll meet you guys where you're at. I have no problem doing this, but we have to find a way. My whole problem is regulation to make it safe, firm, fair, and consistent across the board. Absent any of this, I agree. Law enforcement that's making something rare is going to make something more potent, more strong, and it's going to cause problems. You're right to say that police are causing problems by arresting people who aren't hurting anybody else. But the problem that you're going to run into is non-regulation. There's no societal education about this. That's the problem I have about this.
What's
and the
one
youth
got to
about
do with
this
the
isn't saving lives.
They don't have anything to do with each other.
What's one got to
Fentanyl
do
with
with the
other in other people's hands aren't saving lives. There's no justification for this, and it's like there's all these other things. The waters get muddy without regulation. That's my whole point.
I get it. Regulation, isn't that something separate from you jumping and beating people up and ruining their lives and taking their jobs in this economy?
So now you're loading something in, jumping and beating people up without context. It's like now all of a sudden I'm just doing this.
Yes, maybe I was.
Do you think anytime a drug is present, people always got beat up?
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I wish you went.
No, you gotta stop. You're telling me I'm making bad hypotheticals. This is
if we need who's in charge of supplying regulation? Is it the user?
Companies.
No, that's wrong too. It's the government. So why would you beat up users? Because the government didn't do its fucking job.
We can say the FDA is controlling this, right? But who controls how many milligrams is in the aspirin?
Answer the question I'm asking, Marte.
Ask it again.
Responsible for regulation. Why are you taking it out on the user?
How is the user a doctor?
Oh, the user's the average.
Do they know how many milligrams they should be taking? Who prescribes
Probably
this?
because they've been.
So you're saying the user can be a prescriber? Wait, hold on.
Who is responsible for regulation?
I would say the FDA should be responsible for regulation. They are.
Who should be responsible for there not being regulation? Whose obligation is that?
For there not being regulation?
Who's responsible? Yeah, somebody dropped the ball. We both agree there should be regulation on these substances, but there's not. Who dropped the ball?
I think it's the same entity, believe it or not.
Right. So why are you attacking people who are not responsible for the problem there?
I'm not attacking people. I'm saying it should be regulated, but these people aren't doing their job. We both agree on that.
You are literally attacking people every day when you give them drug crimes to take away their jobs, their homes, and the fucking. So
what Joel Cool does is muddy the waters and deflection. You're
argue the argument. I don't need your fucking thoughts and assertions. Argue the argument, isn't it?
Wait, how do I argue an argument without thoughts or assertions?
He's accusing you of red herring fallacies.
I get that, but he's okay. I get
that's what he's doing.
I get it, but.
No, he's accusing you of being red herrings. That's what he's calling out.
I get it, but
false accusations are great.
No, listen. Okay, let's break it down. We're gonna have to. Let's break it down to things that I said.
Yes, please. Let's break this down.
All right. You rob people. Was I wrong?
No. Rob people.
Yes. You beat people up. Was I wrong?
You're making an absolute.
Make them lose their
You're
jobs.
saying, I want to break it up, but I'm going to make an absolute in the process of doing this.
I don't know about what make an absolute mean. I'm just saying, where was I wrong that you saying I'm red herring and making a fallacy and shit? I was trying to display that you.
How are you going to do this? I don't know how to formulate a proper
argument. Drop Joe.
Powder Dusty, can you and me talk? That's crazy.
You want to pay the drop?
No, fuck that. You don't have to engage my shit. You don't have to. I can't make a nigga do it.
You're right. You can.
What you're doing, Marte just needs to have one person questioning him because
you had your shot for a long time.
You're right. I did.
I was trying to get mine.
Well, I paid for mine.
Oh, I didn't know that shit. The matter of bread.
I feel like
no,
this
I'm
is
not
Patty's
gonna
channel, and
fucking
I'm doing the
discuss
post
this
versus
yet.
like eight black dudes. That's okay though.
Yes, I think you don't like to argue my arguments, man. My arguments are all back to the same shit. You do.
No, they're
immoral-
not.
See?
They're not, because you're saying, do police beat people up? Yes, but that's not a consistent standard across the board, and it has nothing to do with what we're talking
I
about.
was gonna
Joe,
give
you got
about
20
six.
minutes.
Joe, hang tight. I probably won't have you back there the whole time if you want to stick around.
Okay, now we can actually
Now,
conversate
because
about this.
Marte, what you're doing is you're leaning really hard on multiple lines of questioning so that you can dodge away from the one that you don't want to go to. It's a great way to
No.
muddy the waters.
I
Here's
want
the
to
thing.
clarify this. That's why I'm asking for clarification. That's the
Okay,
reason
what
why
do
I'm
you need
asking.
clarification on?
So when I ask questions about this, as far as regulation, it's like you guys agree. We all agree. Let's at least let me clear the room. We all agree that police can be adding to the problem. I've never once denied this, right? So when we say that police non-legalize something, it creates more of a drug problem. You agree with me on this, right, Powder Dusty?
When police when police non-legalize something?
When things aren't legal, meaning we're not legalizing drugs, it creates a problem in the drug industry, right? But I'm not saying police. I'm saying when laws or FDA doesn't legalize things, it creates a problem where police are now opposed to people who are now creating new victims. We could say we're creating new victims.
The enforcement is the problem.
So, right, the enforcement is only the problem because we're looking at the wrong monster. We're not looking at FDAs, the people that pass these laws.
No, we're not. The FDA isn't who kicked in my door.
Well, here's the thing, though. The dad is kicking in your door because you're messing with his daughter, but the school allowed it.
What?
It's the school. It's the extension.
What?
So you're talking about the extension of the law when really it's like you're blaming somebody else that isn't the origin of this. The origin's the FDA, not the law.
So the law is the bad thing.
The law's the law enforcement is the extension of the FDA.
The law enforcement is
People
not
are making
responsible for the bad laws it enforces.
So okay, the people that have the power to change and legalize, you're not mad at?
Don't dodge the question. I agree with you. They have responsibility. But what I'm saying is law enforcement, the person enforcing the laws, you are moral prostitutes because they're doing things that they know are wrong.
No, we've already showed that I'm not a moral prostitute because I've already explained to you how it's moral and amoral on my end. So if I tell you that because it's not regulated, no, it's a moral quandary that we're running into, because if I know that there's not a safe, effective way put out there to regulate this so that way people can use this, it would be morally wrong by my thought process, and it's consistent. But if we can find a way to do this that solves that problem.
Okay. So
that's the only thing I'm hung up on, Powder Dusty.
Here's the thing. Like I've laid this out already. The lack of safe standards, that's the responsibility of the government. That's not the user's responsibility. So you attacking users who are not responsible for that lapse instead of government who is responsible for the lapse, that's the immoral thing. You're attacking the victims.
Powder Dusty, do you think that we should law enforcement should attack the government?
What I want to know is, why are you attacking victims?
Well, hold on. We have to.
Nope. I'm not taking that straw man or red herring or whatever the fuck it is. Why is it not immoral? Why is it not immoral for law
enforcement? Logically, you're talking about attacking victims.
Individual law enforcement agents to sell their services and attack victims of the lack of regulation.
These aren't guys.
Yeah, just real quick, we have a question.
That would be a moral issue if it kills people. That would be a moral issue if it's like killing people and if it's causing more harm. Meaning, like if I took that and I'm now robbing more stores because I'm taking gear, or if it's cheating or something like that. Like to me, I would say a moral quandary with that. I think it's a moral issue if it causes harm to other people. Like if I take crack and crack makes me act erratic and walk nude in front of kids in traffic, and crackheads do this all the time, which is like public nudity. That's a moral issue. So if we look at the arena of like drug use, as far as like steroids and gear and things like that, I don't really see a moral issue with that. The reason why is because I'm looking at harm.
Cool.
So-
Hold on to that for one sec.
so-
The question is it morally good for people to use gear? I think you just basically answered that, but I also need to introduce a guest from the backstage.
We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr.?
Mr. Vibe, welcome to the show.
So you would arrest somebody for steroids. That's my point.
Yeah.
That
We
makes
would.
it immoral.
No.
You're
What I'm saying-
you're introducing the harm to the situation.
Where's the harm?
In getting arrested, in getting raided.
Okay, so people smuggle. Do you understand what happens when people smuggle steroids?
No, but I don't need to, because if it wasn't for the
There's a
prohibition,
lot
we
of
wouldn't
harm
be
that
smuggling
happens when people
steroids.
smuggle steroids. There's a lot of harm that happens.
It doesn't matter. All that is the responsibility of law enforcement.
Also,
too,
harm
because
doesn't matter now. Harm is not
all of those harms are on law enforcement. The only reason they're smuggled at all is because of prohibition.
It's not
Yes,
on law enforcement.
Yes.
It's not on law enforcement. So if somebody takes a gun, if a kid takes a gun and shoots somebody, it's not anybody else's fault.
What I'm saying is that smuggling, the
Regulation. If we throw regulation out,
man,
and
you're a fucking dancing professional.
I'm not a dancing professional.
You're really good at dancing. You're tap dancing
Your
all over.
logic's
The place.
not consistent.
I
Powder
want to
Dusty.
stay here. I want to stay here. You cause harm to people enforcing drug laws.
So enforcing laws that protect people.
There's
not
the thing.
regulated.
I saw you smirk too. You know, right? They don't protect people.
I'm like, you're crazy because we're going to keep running into regulation.
You keep saying they protect people, but who's protected?
Hey, Flo, can I ask a question? And Marty, do you mind if I butt in for a sec?
God, I don't have enough 20s for this conversation.
I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody here, but and I'll be really quick with this.
Bring Joe back.
Like, one of the things I hate is the seatbelt law. I'll wear it whether there's a law or not, but I hate that the government says I have to wear one. I hate that there's a helmet law. I'll probably wear it on the California freeways, but if I'm in the fields of Kansas City, I want to be able to take off my helmet. Now, when it comes to drugs, right, I kind of feel like this is the same thing, and this is Philosophical Friday. So I kind of want to get into the philosophy of some of this, and it kind of goes to the point what both of you guys are talking about here, right? I don't think there should be a seatbelt law, but I think if we remove the seatbelt law, the idiots all of a sudden are going to start dying a lot more. If you remove the helmet law, the medical field is going to be ecstatic because the biggest lobbyists against the helmet law are the medical fields because they're great organ donors. If they're dumb enough not to wear a helmet, they get to save somebody else's life. Now, there's the philosophy here is now, where do I let the government interfere when, even if I'm capable of making the right choices, even if I can do responsible drug use, even if I will put my seatbelt on without a law, do I want to cross the line saying, wow, I see a lot of my friends that don't have that capability. I see a lot of my friends that will do a thing of meth and their whole lives will go downhill. And do I actually say, okay, you know what? I'm okay.
A whole thing of meth. They did a whole thing. That's a lot of meth.
I don't know. I've never done meth, but I don't think it's like weed. But I mean, we have a horrible alcoholism problem in the United States. That's legal. Even with regulation, it does a lot of harm. And so really, when it comes to the philosophy of this, we have to look at like, okay, so we have these certain people that are educated or have self-restraint that can handle these things. And we have a bunch of people, and I have to say the statistics of the bunch of people that can't handle these things is much higher. Just because some can, should we be able to legalize it for all and allow those to be harmed? And then the second part, and I'll shut up after the second part. The community makes the laws going, I want to save this many people. Now, I think the left side tries to save too many people. I think there is a point where you just go, stupidity is stupidity. We have to let them die.
Made the laws for war on drugs.
But the only way you can actually, if you're going to, so yeah, the war on drugs, right?
Right. That was
all drugs should be legal because you know that the results of that are not. I mean, legalizing marijuana and alcohol, like we've got alcohol treatment programs. We'll have to have marijuana treatment programs. If we start opening up these other ones, we have to do programs like that. We know a lot of
treatment programs. We already have those.
But we're going to need more. Like if you legalize it,
we don't have the capacity.
You speculate that, but all we can do is look at the past and see that in 45 years of the war on drugs, substance abuse rates have increased.
So what we're doing now
is a double-edged sword. So I mean, ultimately, what do you think the results were if the government were to regulate like alcohol? So I can go to the liquor store, I can buy I don't know, my 40-ounce a joint and some meth. What do you think the next day results of that would look like in the United States?
I think that initially, like very short term, you'd have a pop in substance abuse issues, but that over time it would plateau, or it would taper way off real fast. I think you'd have an immediate drop in organized crime, both nationally and internationally. You'd have a decrease in murders and incarceration. I think that the prohibition is the source of most of the issues. Now, and as far as the harmfulness of the drugs, alcohol is the most harmful drug, and it's legal. The reason that everybody knows a functioning alcoholic, but not many people know functioning crackheads, is because of the things you have to go through to get your potency fixed. It's because it's not because the crack is necessarily that much worse than the alcohol.
So one sec, real quick. One sec, real quick, just get through a couple of things. Shout about us with 2 dots says, I think this is the Martha. Explain how Ronnie Coleman wasn't an officer, and then also Raging Pater says, "Fuck your couch." Thank you.
Fuck your
boys.
So that's very easy to answer. Ronnie Coleman was natural for a very long time. He turned pro-natural, just like I turned pro-natural. There's a lot of people who are freaks of nature. I was a freak of nature. I was undefeated in Arizona for 4 different years. Turned pro damn near naturally. I had to take stuff when I got in the league. So
I don't know anything about Ronnie Coleman.
The only thing I know is he wasn't natural.
I was interrupting Vibe there, though. Vibe, back to you.
Yeah, I mean,
you're saying he was natural, and then he got all the juice and shit.
Yeah, when he stopped working for PD. Yeah. My logic is like consistent on that. So yeah, of course, logically it would follow that he wasn't doing that when he was working for PD. So
I just get worried with the drugs, right? Like the super addictive drugs. If you opened up the market, what you were saying, Dusty, is all of a sudden the cartel market would die because now they're not included in the whole industry, right? But even today, we still have the backdoor deals, even going with construction and things like that. So it's still going to be there, even though it's going to be a little bit more legit. There's still going to be a lot of violence in the back end. Maybe the violence will die. I think opening this to the market, not for particular drugs, but certain drugs, will actually increase the violence in the public from the person-to-person aspect.
That's intentional propaganda, right? Like think about how that's why they keep making new. Now we're on fentanyl. Before it was crack. Before it was, like there's always some big hype panic drug that just hit the street. Croc.
Yeah,
what's
Flo,
the stuff that's making people wander around like zombies, right?
Here's the thing: to address he's basically worried about the people who don't know shit about drugs. Then they'll take like some like high potency drug like straight away and they're fucked kind of thing. The whole like I ate a weed cookie and now I'm spaced out for an hour or whatever.
That's the paradigm now.
So, and we can even actually take
one
it outside
sec,
of drugs that everybody's scared of. We could talk about steroids. We could talk about, let's say, amoxicillin, which is the prototype or the manufactured penicillin, right? I have to go to the doctor. It takes me like a week whenever I get an ear infection to get penicillin. I am smart enough to know that I only get it every like 2-3 years. It's something common that I have. And I know what I need to do. And I have to jump through so many hoops to get that drug. That was sold.
Right? That's a profit.
If that was sold over the counter, I could handle that. But there's a lot of people out there that as soon as they sneeze, they would go and buy that and use it. Eventually become immune to it. Right. And so let's take the illegal drug or the mind altering drugs out of the scenario. Let's just talk about over the counter and
have it been on a fucking channel.
Yeah. So Vibe, like what I'm saying is like from the dynamic of like what we're saying is that like even if we grant that it's like okay, like you have to take some sort of like driver's ed course or like drugs ed course or whatever before you got your license. You had this license. What's stopping me as let's say a scientist who does like very deep like mathematics or whatever and string theory or whatever the fuck, going out and wanting to get like amphetamines, which they give to kids. Like why can't I just go down to the local pharmacy, get my amphetamine, so I can like devote more of my time to work.
And the amoxicillin thing is pure profit protection, right? Just like glasses. Why do you need a prescription to get another set of contact lenses? It's not because there's some damage, right? This is just profit protection. with amoxicillin.
But I want to point out for the fact that like you don't have an answer to that is like that's why they should not be illegal.
Can I say something kind of on that?
For why it should be illegal, because without regulation, you're going to have what Vibes was talking about. The only thing I'm talking about is like if we can add some safety protocols there, some industry standard, but you can't have crack out there without an industry standard. With smoking, we do have an industry standard. It's regulated. There are certain places you could do this at, certain places you can't do this. Alcohol, just the same, right? Okay. We have regulation as far as you can't drive impaired, things like this.
The lack of industry standard does not make the moral right to attack people who
are victims of it. We attack drunk all the time.
It does.
We attract drunk drivers all the time. Not only do we do this, but we attract everybody else that's driving under any influence, not just alcohol, but under any kind of influence.
Absolutely not true. You cannot test for other influences. I know because I've been pulled over a lot driving high.
Regardless, because of what.
The Buddha is kind to his brothers. $5. Appreciate it. He says, Martha, you're wrong. Coleman became a pro in 91. Yeah. Coleman retired from law enforcement in 2000. He won his first major Olympia in 98. Explain this out. He's bringing receipts, bro.
Coleman was a pro. He didn't take anything for a long ass time. He didn't take anything for I was a pro. I didn't take anything for a long time. Explain me too. You're gonna have to explain Phil.
Everybody who takes things says they don't take things.
Yeah, but
I'm lying now. So you think it's unfalsifiable?
I'm just saying. You're referencing yourself as proof, but all you're doing is sitting here saying that you didn't take something.
I know these guys. I know these guys. All I have to do is take their word for it. But see what he's asking. He's asking a question that's unfalsifiable, which is crazy. So, but if you were to believe me, I didn't take anything until like later on as a pro.
I believe you, Marte. Calm down. I believe. But now that you lost your job, I believe that you're back on the juice because they're not testing you.
Haven't touched
day one.
Day one. Driving home from work, you're like, fuck that job.
Fuck that.
I won the Mr. California without anything. Trust me, I didn't. I was whooping people's butts as a natural person for a very long time before I even started. So that's the thing. The thing is that the reason why a lot of people turn pro is because they had this natural talent or genetics beforehand. If you gave drugs across the board to everybody, you still would have the same amount of pros that you have today.
But Martha, is your main thing here? It's like I only prosecute you the drugs I disagree with in the DEA thing. Ergo, there's no conflict. Is that your thing?
No, my biggest thing is safety to the public. That's my biggest concern, because if you don't regulate it, how do you determine what's safe and how do you determine who's going to get a hold of this? How do you
pick one? To the public, why are you ensuring that the harm goes to the red? Harm is not.
I'm not playing though, Flo. I agree with a lot of what you were saying.
Overdose death, which only happens really if you're a needle user. The biggest threat from doing drugs is for sure the Gestapo.
I brought up fentanyl. Fentanyl almost took me out.
No, it did not. Now I think you're either lying or you're being a sissy.
Yeah,
it was airborne. Right.
This
is the same fucking bullshit hyperbolic things that we heard about crack, that we heard about AIDS, that we're now hearing about
fentanyl is a different beast, man.
So fentanyl is potent.
How is it that all these loser junkies are able to manage handling fent, but cops keep dying from airborne fent?
Do you know how long they were on this? Do you know how long? So do you?
I can answer that question if you want to know.
Immunities to certain things, right? If you've been
cops do drugs and then have to make up excuses. That's why.
So here's the thing.
No, wait. Can I just make a point about the question you asked about fentanyl?
Good luck.
It's open, baby.
Your mic sucks.
Well, you get drunk on beer.
Okay, I'm going to cut out and I'm going to come back.
Cool, miss.
I wish I knew it was that easy a while ago.
So what would your tolerance be like if you've never drank before and you drank one shot of whiskey? It'd be pretty low, right? But people who are avid drinkers of alcohol, they can go through it, right? Your argument fails because of that.
Here's the thing.
Hold on, Flo, if you don't mind. Your argument fails because all of those fentanyl users use it the very first time and they did not die. So
correct. They haven't. These are lucky people. Do you know how many people I saw that died the first time?
The reason that cops keep having these issues is not because they have low tolerances, is because they're doing the drug themselves and then making up excuses after the fact.
Developing a tolerance level, whereas I didn't do this. Right.
Maybe you did. The more we talk, the more I'm thinking maybe you did some of it. Like, don't act like cops don't do drugs. Don't act like cops don't do drugs. I've bought drugs from uniformed police officers.
So here's the thing, though. It can happen, but is it something that's highly likely? It's less likely because you get drug tested all the time.
100% of cops who overdose because they did drugs that they stole from people that would be 100%. They're gonna say exactly what you said. Oh my God, this is super drug.
That's right.
Yeah, that doesn't even make a point because the people, 100% of people that don't die don't do drugs. So what?
Can you imagine having a drug potent enough that you just walk in the house, you could overdose and die? That's crazy. What you're claiming is outside of and most people haven't done enough drugs to know that that's completely.
No, I didn't overdose and die, but I was affected enough to be.
I used to sell it shit.
I needed to go. I was affected enough to where I had to be allowed to go back to work because I had to get medically cleared.
Yeah, but you don't know how you ingested it. You just got a whiff of it.
Yeah,
that's because that's what the story said.
A lot.
Boss. That's why I tested positive.
I googled it while I was downstage, and they said that's not a thing. They say it's bullshit. It was.
It's not a thing. It's a cop excuse.
No, it's not a cop excuse. Not a cop excuse.
We got a question.
So yeah, Flo, can I?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Damon. Yeah, actually, you've been waiting. Yeah,
no, Flo. I was just going to say, I agree. Your whole argument about the sorry, is the mic okay or is it still shit?
It's not very good, but we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the point you're making about the whole prohibition thing, like causing the whole black market on drugs. Yeah, 100% totally agree. And that is a big fucking problem. Anytime you try to like make something illegal, obviously criminals are going to try and exploit it, and it puts way more people at risk. And you got me on that a lot. I agree with you on that completely. The only thing that I was going to say earlier on about the airborne fent is like that fentanyl that you were talking about before, the black fentanyl. Yeah, it's got like literally toxic compounds in it. But the thing is like with fent, obviously it's measured in micrograms, and like 100 mics, if it hits you at once IV, can literally stop you breathing. Inhaled,
can you go
need
find
a
an
little bit
example
more.
of anybody besides a cop getting affected by airborne fent?
Well, no, because I don't know who would literally like toss a shit ton of fentanyl in the air and then try to inhale it.
Right, exactly. That's what
a
you
lot
have
of
to do.
cops apparently.
Yeah, cops.
But I've seen.
I don't know what that is. Throw it in front of the fan.
Right,
I've seen a bunch of but I've seen a bunch of people like get admitted. I've seen cops get admitted when like if they go on a raid and somebody just throws a shit ton of fentanyl because they know.
Not even Google touching it. There's no cases of even touching it.
No. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. The cops do drugs. I know shit tons of cops who've overdosed and shit because they do drugs. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing.
What is your point?
Well, no, because I was just saying that when you're talking about like why does that fucking happen, I'm just saying that like it's very easy to inhale enough.
No, it's not. That's what I'm telling you.
If you're bent over with a
story is
straw.
wrong. That
No,
narrative
I'm
is
not.
wrong.
Listen, I'm not doubting that there's cops who are drug users. I'm not doubting that, but at the same time,
Why do
I
you
have
think
seen
that you
people
can just
admitted to
inhale this
hospital.
shit? Where is your information coming from?
So here's the thing. We were doing a search. I had walked into a room and this person was trying to hide it. Particulates must have been in the air, but I'm guaranteeing you, not only was I lightheaded, but I knew something hit my system really bad. It affected the canine and it affected Officer Reeves, the person I was working with.
Canine's out here sniffing.
I've seen. I was covering NHS hospital, and I've seen 6 police officers admitted because somebody threw a bag of fentanyl at them.
Amazing. It's amazing that you don't forget to stop or to breathe.
That would never happen in real
said
life.
that.
How the police so unlucky?
Vibe actually has a really good question here. Teriak, you can either somebody read that, but that's a really good question.
Yeah, this was Vibe's question. You had to go with his kids, but appreciate you stopping by. Vibe, he says, my next question was going to be, if we vote to allow drugs, would Flo be willing to let the police to use force to prevent those who didn't want that? But
Well,
my counter...
first of all, let me say that that would not be the case. People are not out here clamoring for drug laws. They were implemented, and then people had to clamor against them, and we're barely eking out ground in that direction. So,
can you answer the hypothetical?
Hold on. Your question doesn't reflect reality. That said, no, I wouldn't. Let me answer the question directly. No, I would not support it. I don't support people listening to country music because it fucking sucks. But it's not my business, and I don't encourage people to use violence to stop you from doing that. Go ahead.
No, that's a wrap now. Oh, I can't believe you said that. So if people are putting Spanish fly in people's drinks, letting them take drugs when they weren't unaware of this, because this happens all the time. This reflects reality. Would you stop this? I'm not going to stop this.
He's not talking about dosing somebody.
I think, it's just wanted to dose.
What he's using is a broad analysis. He's using force to prevent those that don't want that. Are people that are drinking drinks not wanting Mickeys in their drinks?
If that's the way he's asking the question, no, hold on. That's not the question he's asking. Yes, it should be illegal to sneak drugs into people.
Yeah, if that's the question on the panel.
No, but that's not what he's asking. Marte,
are you going to enforce people not using that?
Let me clarify. What he's saying is, if we vote to allow drugs, so allow it aren't. It's like we're just allowing drugs. We're not forcing drugs. We're not forcing everyone to take drugs. You know what I mean? So like this whole aspect, he's like, would you use police? It would mean that the people that want to make drugs illegal again are then would have to be using force if the police are getting involved.
The question is extremely broad, by the way. It's broad, but not too broad.
It is. I don't understand.
If you're
Let me answer it both ways.
People that don't want to do these drugs, would you enforce people not admitting these drugs to people that don't want them or anything across the board?
Yes.
Hold
on, Martin. Let me answer it both ways. Yes, I would support laws and violence to enforce them so that somebody cannot sneak somebody else's drugs. I don't want anybody to be forced to do drugs. It's crazy.
If that's
not what he's asking, because he's not a retard.
You want the enforcement on one side, but on the other.
Dude, you're a moron.
You're crazy.
a moron.
That's crazy.
You're either a moron or you're a liar. I'm not sure which.
No, just being straight up with you. Logic's not really logicking right now when it comes to this. Because when you use enforcement where it suits you,
I am supporting people not harming other people. If you sneak drugs to somebody they don't want, that's harm.
But here's the thing, Powder Dusty. When I talked about regulations, I'm talking about safety. We are enforcing it when it comes to safety, regardless. And that's my whole point.
Do you think it's less safe to get high at home than it is to have dudes with guns kick your door in?
Now this is a red herring. Let's stay on the topic.
If I said it was a red herring.
Stay on the topic. When I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about people kicking indoors. I'm talking about people not using this drug. So when I'm talking about
kicking indoors, this is not a thing in a vacuum.
When I'm talking about regulation,
increasing danger supposedly in the surface of safety. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Exactly.
So
you're just going to co-sign everything, right?
Yeah, that was my argument. I used the same word. No, you remember I said if you rob the home, you rob the man, you make him lose his job. That was the same argument I said.
Get the pom-pom.
Can you clear something up? If they said that they were going to legalize drug use, but if they said, look, you're going to be able to use drugs, you're going to be able to buy drugs legally, right? But if we find you getting high, then we're going to arrest you. So you're only allowed to consume drugs.
What?
No. Just follow me on this and just explain something. If they say we're going to let you take drugs, right, but only an amount that's going to maintain like you still behaving normally. So if you get high, then that's you abusing it. I assume that you'd have a problem with that, right? You'd be like, no, just let me use it how I want to use it, right?
Right.
Okay. Because earlier on when I asked you about like, why would you want to consume drugs? You said because you want to get high, correct?
It's because you want the mood altering effect. High isn't always an
exactly. Yeah, I understand.
Sugar gets you high.
I understand. But do you understand the fact that most people who consume alcohol, especially like if they're going to be driving afterwards, they're going to consume an allowed amount so that they can still safely drive and pass the breathalyzer test? Sorry?
How's that unique to alcohol? You think a seasoned heroin user can't do enough heroin that?
No, what I'm saying is when you're making comparisons to like, well, alcohol is the most dangerous drug and it's legal, right? And we should therefore be able to allow to legalize the rest of the drugs. The problem is that people can consume alcohol without the desire to get drunk.
And that's
just
not
like
unique to
drinking
alcohol.
without
That is
wanting.
not unique to alcohol. That's
Well, no, but you
universal.
said earlier on you want to get high. You want to get to that mind-altering
Yeah, and the
effect.
reason you consume alcohol is because you
I
want a
gave
little bit of you want to loosen up. It's not because you love the taste of it.
Some people,
One sec,
some
I
people
get-
like the
no.
taste of it. Some people consume it because they enjoy the taste. Some people might want to loosen up, but they're not necessarily going to get drunk.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
but
some
I
people
gave
might
the
wanna-
counter. I gave the counter with some of these things like mushrooms, all that kind of stuff. It's like it makes new connections in the brains. Like it's literally like mind expanding. You know what I mean?
But
And like I gave
regardless-
the example. One sec. I gave the example of like the physicist or the mathematician who wants to buy Adderall so he can go more committed to his work.
Adderall is stronger
Right,
than
yeah.
meth, by the way.
The point is that
Yeah, well,
when
the way
you're
they make it
making the
now, yeah.
argument that there's we want to legalize it because there's responsible drug users out there, right? The moment you're getting high, you're saying that mind-altering effect, it's
I
going to
don't
have
know
a
why
sedative
you don't
effect.
understand
It's
this.
gonna-
The inebriating abuse effects of a drug scale, and you can build tolerance to them. That's for every drug. Every
Yeah.
drug.
Yeah, and when you build a tolerance to them, you need obviously more to get the next high, to get that same high.
Or a different one. I smoke weed. I'll just use a different strain. It works just the same. And it's not a matter of more. I
And
just
besides,
switch up.
if we're talking about something like meth, that's not very inebriating.
The point is that if you're chasing the high, you can't guarantee that you're going to be responsible.
No
And
guarantee.
here's what I'm
No,
saying. That distinction that you're giving alcohol is not unique. You have a false distinction there where this is unique to alcohol. It's not.
No.
The
No,
other thing
the
is, let me
distinction
finish the other
is-
point. Let me finish
No,
the
but
point.
you made a mistake.
It's not my
You made a
fault
mistake in what you
that's
said.
how drugs work, motherfucker. You don't need to drag the whole conversation down. The other point is that who cares if I get high? It's not your problem.
It does become your problem when you can't prove that you're a responsible drug user by definition.
How does
The
that become your problem?
Because
If
if you start acting irresponsibly, you're a problem to
undemonstrated-
those around you.
You have no idea if I'm a responsible drug user or not. If I'm getting high, at my
Neither
house-
do you. That's the point. When you're
No,
taking
but I'm
drugs,
using an
neither do you.
example.
You can't guarantee that either.
If it does not impact you, it doesn't impact you. If it does impact you, that point of
No,
impact.
you don't need to get so worked up. We're just having a discussion here, okay? That's what we said,
I know,
okay?
I
You're
get
not very
frustrated
chill
because
for a
some-
drug user. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
the point
deep
is
breath.
that what I'm
Louder,
trying to say is that somebody
Deep
can
breath.
consume alcohol somebody might want to consume alcohol just for the social aspect of consuming
is why I
alcohol
get
without
frustrated.
getting drunk, without even loosening up.
Somebody else
Right,
tab in,
because-
tab into this. Marte, even you could probably explain to this guy what I'm.
like the example I gave Damon is like this guy who he wants to buy Adderall so he can like do like better in terms of physics or like his work or his research or whatever. You know what I
But the
mean?
comparison, the example that you gave, Teriak, and the example that Flo both gave are both people who are chasing it for the purpose of having a mind-altering
So
experience.
what? Yes, correct.
The difference is that people don't consume alcohol every single time. The intent is not always, I want a mind-altering experience.
First of
It
all,
could just
that's
be,
not
There's always
true.
exceptions
I'm
to the
doing
rule,
it.
though.
Sorry?
There are some people who definitely only drink to get drunk, and also the distinction.
Yes,
you're-
and
have
those
you-
are the
have you never
people.
done
Those are
drugs,
the
have
people
you?
who we've deemed are not responsible. Those are the people who we've deemed have a problem. That's what I'm trying to point out to you.
Somebody else talk to this guy. I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you.
I know I get that you're trying to explain it, but you're not really explaining anything. You're just pointing out the
Because what
fact
you're
that
asking
anyone
me
who
about
wants
is
to take
something-
drugs
You're saying
is
here's
taking
the-
it with the intent of having a mind-altering experience.
Because here's the
Therefore,
thing,
they are
you
not
don't
responsible drug
understand
users.
that the distinction
How
that
is that
you're
not
asking
responsible?
about doesn't exist.
In what way doesn't it exist? Explain.
See, and I'm not going any. I've been doing that. I've been doing that.
I'm telling you the difference between alcohol, which you're trying to
Have
say is the
you
most
done
dangerous thing.
drugs? Have you done drugs?
Yes.
Hard ones.
Yes. Fentanyl.
Did you gain a tolerance?
No, not really.
So you've only done it a few times then.
Well, I ended up going to I had 1.5 milligrams.
But my point is you've never built up tolerance to it. You haven't done it regularly.
Well, I've had it several times, but the thing is that I had it because I had to have it. I had it under legal conditions, and they did have
You
to
didn't have to
increase
have
it. But I didn't get to a tolerance where I thought to myself, like,
So
I
you
would want to
don't
do this
actually-
recreationally and feel
So
safe
you
about it.
don't know what you're talking about when you're pointing out this problem. And I'm telling you that.
Well, I had to have it more than a sedative amount to the point where I got high, and I thought, "Wow, shit, this is great.
But
This is
getting
awesome."
high isn't the same as developing a tolerance. What I'm saying is,
Well, no, but I went from having about 500 micrograms.
Let me explain this to you. If you did fentanyl every day for a month, your tolerance would go up. At some point, you would be able to do some just to not get dope sick.
Yeah, like I said, I went from about 500 micrograms to about 1.5 milligrams. So yes, in that respect, I built up a tolerance to it, but I wouldn't have said that I built up to a tolerance to it where I thought like, shit, I need to get to the point where it's dangerous and they need to give me a different drug. Okay? That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Your counter to my argument or the mind altering thing is that it's like, oh well, like alcohol is because of the taste or whatever. But I can counter with you. Give me one example of like someone taking alcohol where it's like actually benefiting their work. They're doing more work. They're more beneficial to society.
Yeah, but my response to that would be the fact that just goes to show you that people aren't taking alcohol to abuse it. You're trying to say like to function. The only time somebody would take it to function is as Flo said, if they're a functional alcoholic.
To enhance their performance, like intellectually.
That would be like, for example, if they suffer from issues like anxiety, and again, like Flo said, that they want to just take it to loosen up so that they can function better, to have more confidence, I guess.
We're talking about hard drugs, not weed.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like this is actually like we're impeding progress here by ruling out drugs for what seems to be no reason. There's been no reason provided why we should rule out drugs.
My only issue is that I agree with what Flo's saying in terms of I don't like big government. I don't want government censoring shit. I don't like them banning shit. The issue with drugs is I would be all for legalizing drugs without any question if we can somehow prove that those people are going to be using it responsibly.
That's not.
If your goal is what? That's not what?
That's not. You can't prove this people. Is that what they do with alcohol?
I could be a responsible drug user for years, and then one day I'm not.
Just like alcohol and everything else.
Hey, Terry, I gotta roll because I gotta eat. I'm starving, bro.
Yeah, no worries.
Time for your next hit, isn't it? You need to time it. Hey,
conversation you wanted to have or what?
Yeah, kind of. I'll hit you if you want to do a one-on-one. I'll still hit you up about it. But I do appreciate you talking to me.
Yeah, for sure. Just let me. I don't know how you're gonna message me or whatever, but yeah, just we'll figure it out.
or Discord.
Oh, we're on X. Just hit me up on X and we'll figure out a one-on-one. Yeah, we could do this on your space or mine. It doesn't matter. So
all right, hey, be good. Thanks for talking.
All right, Terry.
Man.
Damon, Black Chester Cheetah. I'll talk to you guys later.
Right, take care, man.
Take it easy, bro.
Guys, I'm sorry. I've got to actually duck as well because I just did like a 15-hour shift, man, and my connection issues.
You goddamn better not leave right now.
Oh, okay, go ahead, man, if you want to. But I know my mic probably sounds fucking horrible.
Yeah,
your mic sounds bad.